Greg, good morning. A post-mortem examination is to be carried out on the body of a woman who died following a road traffic collision in Killybegs. The pedestrian, who was in her 60s, was struck by a van on Main Street shortly before 6 last evening. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Gardaí have issued an appeal for witnesses. In particular, they're anxious to hear from anyone who may have dashcam footage taken in the area around that time. The road remains closed this morning. The chairperson of the Mica Action Group says the government continues to drag its heels on crucial elements of the campaign for 100% redress. Homeowners affected by defective blocks had sought updates on a promised review of IS 465 and the inclusion of pyrite in the scheme. In response, the department said those would not be complete until the end of this year. Lisa Hone says interim measures are needed, but there is no sense of urgency from the department.
It's very disappointing that we've not got some sort of interim measure where the government recognises the science that's being reported in terms of the evidencing of iron sulfides in a lot of the concrete blocks. It really is of paramount importance that we understand this as soon as possible, and to wait a year to come to a conclusion on this is just really, really unacceptable and highly irresponsible, quite honestly. The
British Foreign Secretary is promising to address protocol issues which risk and undermine the Northern Ireland peace process. James Cleverly is meeting with political and business leaders in Belfast today. The Northern Secretary, Chris Heaton-Harris, also taking part in those talks. It's set to become increasingly difficult to accommodate refugees, with many government contracts with hotel providers expiring over the course of the coming weeks and months. The issue is to be discussed by ministers at a cabinet meeting taking place this morning. With more detail, here's Aoife Kearns.
At a meeting later today, the Minister for Integration and Children, Roderick O'Gorman, is expected to warn his government colleagues of the pressing issue facing them in the coming months when it comes to finding shelter for refugees. Minister O'Gorman is also expected to press colleagues on the need to reduce reliance on private operators and build its own accommodation. At the moment, many refugees are being accommodated in hotels. However, many of the hotels under contract with the government are expected to revert to tourism from March and April. In total, last year, Ireland took in 70,000 people fleeing the war in Ukraine, and it's anticipated Minister O'Gorman will reiterate his view that Ireland has done remarkably well in this regard.
Irish Water says repairs to burst water main may cause supply disruptions in Crawley, Ranafast, Annagry, Duff, Kerrytown and surrounding areas in West Donegal today. The work set to take place until 2 this afternoon. Some traffic disruption also possible. And sub-minimum wage rates have been described as highly discriminatory and disrespectful towards younger workers. Mandate wants sub-minimum rates for workers aged under 20 to be abolished. It says a 17-year-old in retail gets paid 30% less per hour than a 20-year-old simply because of their age. Mandate's Assistant General Secretary Jonathan Hogan says the government must act.
Government do have an opportunity to scrap the sub-minimum rates, do the right thing for young workers who are out there working in the economy, giving it 100%, trying to put food on the table, trying to pay their college fees, trying to pay rent and rates like everyone else. And they need to be supported now more than ever. We're calling for the government to change this immediately.
Windy and showery with strong gusts along coasts this morning. The showers merging into longer spells of rain. Top temperatures today 5 to 9. Mostly strong and gusty westerly winds. That's Highland Radio News. Back with more at 10.
SuperValu makes saving money as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. We match Aldi on the products you love. 2. Get great better than half price offers like SuperValu Fresh Irish Sirloin Steak, better than half price. Nestle Cheerios 700 gram, $2.75. And 3. Money off vouchers every week on the app. SuperValu makes saving money as easy as 1, 2, 3.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 11th of January 2023. How are you keeping? I hope it is well. It was a blustery one overnight, wasn't it? Kept people awake, I'm sure, but some of us love that outside noise and just be thankful to be inside. on a night like that. Anyway, we've a packed show, and it is packed for you over the next 3 hours. We want you involved in the conversation, as always. How do you do that? Well, your WhatsApps and your texts come through to 08660 25,000. If you are from listening outside the Republic, get involved. 003538660 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000, 07491 25,000, and emails to comments@highlandradio.com. You can listen to us on air, of course, across the Northwest on your smart speaker around the world. Some people are reporting when they go to listen to the radio on their Alexa speaker, I think, that it's looking for a monthly subscription. I can tell you right now that's nothing to do with us. It's something that we're looking into to find out what's changed with that company that hosts that speaker, or what service they're using that's requiring people to subscribe. As I say, let me assure you, it's not from us. But if that's what's happened to you, let us know, actually, because we've had a couple of calls in, and just try and get a sense of what areas and how widespread that is, and then it's something we can pursue and offer an alternative. On your Google Home and all other smart speakers, it's just simply a case of giving the command and saying stream Highland Radio. You can also stream us and watch us on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland, across our Facebook pages, or indeed you can do so on our website. Good morning, Mary Ferry, joining us on Facebook to watch the programme. 1 million live minutes viewed of the show every single month. So thank you very much for your support in that area as well. A little bonus on top of our fantastic radio listenership figures. Right, the Finn Valley Voice this morning. Letterkenny University Hospital desperately needs more resources is the headline. A Stranola woman with a serious condition that needed immediate care says that she was extremely well treated in the ED at Letterkenny University Hospital during the week. The woman, who does not wish to be named, said after the triage it was judged, I needed to be admitted at once, and I was assigned a dedicated nurse who stayed with me through the night, which is a wonderful experience. And you can read more of that on the front of that paper today. The Donegal Post tells us of plans for 48 new homes in Ballyshannon. A planning application has been lodged for housing development that could significantly benefit Ballyshannon. The application, by MCF Construction Limited, consists of 48 houses in the Port Nason area of the town. It includes all associated site work, sewers and stormwater drainage, as well as car parking and centrally located landscaped amenity area. The application also includes access through the existing service road from the R267 West Port Road. On to the Irish Independent this morning. High failure rate at Carn NCT Centre. More than half of all cars examined at the Carn NCT Centre in 2022 failed the test on their first attempt, official year-end data has revealed. Some 64% of vehicles tested at the Inishowen Centre last year were also failed for being dangerous, while 45.4% were registered as ordinary fails. Only 48.2% of cars tested in Carn passed the initial NCT inspection during 2022, down from 50% in 2021. On to the Irish Independent, and their focus again on the health service. Some patients who no longer need to be in an overcrowded hospital are languishing in wards for more than 6 months because of a lack of suitable step-down care. The latest available figures revealed that in late November there were 47 patients who had been deemed ready for discharge at least 6 months earlier, but were still stuck in hospital. Now, that figure on a national scale is small. And I can think of one or two examples that we had locally as to why that might happen. Completely unacceptable. But of course, the headline is talking of well patients stuck in hospital for over 6 months. In terms of the amount of people that go through the hospitals, 47 too much, but it is a relatively small figure in the wider scale of things. The HSE figures show there were a total of 599 patients who were fit to leave but could not be discharged. Hospital gridlock is ongoing and led to another 530 patients on trolleys struggling for access to a bed yesterday. It comes as senior doctors warned that patient deaths have already likely been caused by the crisis, and more people will die because they are afraid to go to hospital. Now, yesterday we spoke to Mark Tighe from the Irish Nursing Homes Association, or Nursing Homes Ireland, and he was to tell us, to get back to us about how many beds in nursing homes are available right now that could perhaps offer short-term down care, intermediate care for people as they transition home or to some alternative. Figure not incredibly high, I'm not going to lie to you. They made the inquiries. 4 Donegal nursing homes responded to the survey. 18 available beds within the nursing homes that responded. 3 of the 4 had availability. 1 did not. Overall, 13 private and voluntary nursing homes in Donegal are registered with 555 beds. So 18 beds in Donegal nursing homes that would be available to the hospital to provide step-down care, or perhaps it might require long-term or intermediary care. So clearly there's not a huge capacity there to deal with the problems at Letterkenny University Hospital in the nursing home sector, according to those figures that were supplied to us. Irish Times tells us the price of a stamp and a pint of stout is set to climb from the start of next month, adding to the escalating cost of living in Ireland. So if you're going to buy a pint of Guinness and post it somewhere, you're going to get hit on the double. An Post has announced that it plans to increase the price of a standard stamp by 10% to €1.35, while Diageo said it would add 12 cents onto the price of its beers from February 1st, a move which will raise the price of a pint of Guinness to more than €5.20. Does it bother you at this point that the price of a stamp is going up? Obviously, there's half the amount of letters in circulation now compared to 5 or 6 years ago, and they, of course, have great employees that they must pay, and also they must provide fuel for their vehicles. $1.35 for stamp, is it something that bothers you greatly? 086 60 25,000. Maybe people might be more vexed at the price of a pint of Guinness going up. Both An Post and Diageo have blamed higher input costs for the price hikes, which they said were unavoidable. An Post said the 8% increase was in line with 2022 inflation. It costs us $1.35 to post a standard letter here. The European average is much higher, €1.69, by the way. The Irish Daily Mail, the state spent millions of taxpayers' money compensating toll operators after traffic dived during the pandemic, but it did not have to do so, the spending watchdog has said. Isn't that nice? So we weren't allowed out in our cars. The toll companies weren't getting their money, so they took our money out of our pockets and gave it to toll operators, but they didn't have to. Under a public-private partnership, both the M3 and the Limerick Tunnel have provisions in their contracts that allow for compensation if the number of vehicles using tolls falls below a certain level. Since the start of the pandemic in 2020, Limerick Tunnel operators were compensated by $23 million by the state, which is us, while the M3 received $5.4 million. However, the Controller and Auditor General, which oversees state spending, said the terms of these contracts did not, turn to page 4, did not cover medical emergencies, with the taxpayer ultimately having to pay close to $30 million between the two companies. So, I hope they're trying to claw that back, are they? On to the Irish Daily Star now. And the state must reduce its reliance on private accommodation for refugees and develop state-owned accommodation. Minister Roderick O'Gorman is expected to tell Cabinet this afternoon. Ministers will meet in Family House for an away day for a series of cabinet meetings. How delightful. Hopefully there's tea and sandwiches. Minister O'Gorman is expected to outline the challenges facing the state on accommodation for international protection applicants and those fleeing Ukraine. He will state his view that Ireland has done well in handling the 70,000 Ukrainian refugees who have arrived in Ireland. However, ministers will hear that the sourcing of accommodation is becoming increasingly difficult. There is an expectation that many hotels currently under contracts will revert to the tourism trade in March. So how does politics work in this country, right? So the cabinet ministers, they're having a wee away day in Family House, all of them. There's not that many of them. There's about, how many ministers are there? Are they including junior ministers? I don't know, throw that in. And he's going to go and tell them what we've just read. So does he say, like, well, you know, whilst they're having a cup of tea and stuff, does he say, well, you know, you're probably sorting the papers, but I just want to tell you, you know, I think we're doing really well. Like, how does it work? It's very peculiar, isn't it? It's stupid, I would almost say, that what he's going to say to ministers over tea and Sambos is already in the papers. The Irish Sun this morning, the government could advance purchase thousands of new apartments in a desperate bid to build more homes. The Taoiseach yesterday said that it makes sense to increase housing targets due to Ireland's growing population and the influx of refugees from the war in Ukraine. Much of this obviously is down to government policy. It comes after the government held a housing conference where stakeholders, including developers, housing bodies and charities, discussed ways to tackle the housing crisis. You know, when you come out of a meeting, a government rep, particularly the Taoiseach, comes out of a meeting, having had that meeting with developers and stakeholders, in other words, people who make money from housing, and then says, you know, we need to actually buy these houses off them before they even lay a block. And that obviously has ramifications then in terms of rent, like how many of these are affordable rents. You know, some of these houses that have been purchased through this scheme, the rent's $1,500 a month. You know, is that really what the government wants to be doing, to be supporting a housing market that's so inflated in terms of rents and what have you? But that seems to be their plan. They're going to buy them off the books, effectively. Isn't that a turn of phrase? But they're not allowed to sell them or rent them for a price that's below what they all agree. Because who's pulling the strings, really? I'm sounding really cynical. The traffic was terrible this morning. But the tail, sometimes you feel in this country, is wagging the dog, or maybe I'm just crabbed. And finally, in the Irish Daily Mirror, Sinn Féin's denied the party's performance in recent opinion polls has tumbled due to suggestions it's linked to organised crime. I don't think an awful lot of people accepted what some within the media were trying to push in that regard. It comes following several mentions of the party during the ongoing Jerry Hutch trial in the Special Criminal Court. But if you followed it closely, I don't think it actually really reflected that bad on Sinn Féin at all. Former Sinn Féin councillor Jonathan Dowdall was sentenced to 4 years in prison last year for facilitating the murder of David Byrne in Dublin's Regency Hotel in February 2016. He's currently testifying as part of the state's case against the Hutch. But as I say, he kind of, I think, put a bit of distance between the party and that activity if you read the transcripts rather closely. All right, that was a run through the papers. Anything catch your ears there that you want to get involved in? 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Right, we'll be back with our first guest on the show after these messages.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Last chance to enter the Donegal silage competition with Homeland and Nutrius Animal Feeds. Entries are closing soon, so hurry. Entry is free and includes 5 categories: dairy, beef, sheep, round bale and new entrant. First prize a €300 voucher. Second prize a €200 voucher in each category. For full details, visit homeland.ie. Closing date January 20th.
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
Every year in the GAA, something unique happens. First-class rivals suddenly become first-class teammates. Fierce inter-county foes turn into friends, and yesterday's opponents now have each other's backs. Grudges set aside, all of the best club and county players from every corner of this country line out in their college or university jerseys to play together, challenge together, and win together. It can only be the Electric Ireland Sigerson, Fitzgibbon and Higher Education Championships.
The Restex Beds and Furniture Winter Sale is now in full swing at their showroom at the Mountaintop in Letterkenny, supplying only the finest quality, luxurious Irish-made beds and mattresses with genuine savings throughout our range. We look forward to seeing you at Restex Beds and Furniture Winter Sale.
McDavid McDade's Bathroom Plumbing and Tiles, serving the Northwest for over 40 years. Explore our showroom with more than 40 displays. Choose from an array of shower doors, shower trays, baths and bathroom accessories. Speak with an expert about tile selection and wall paneling. We also stock an array of plumbing, heating and stove spare parts, as well as a great selection of kitchen mixers and radiators at our trade counter. Our stove department is also available for you to choose a style that suits your needs and complements your home. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles, Buncrana. We're here for you.
Okay, you're welcome back to the programme. We're joined in studio now by Garda Inspector Seamus McGonigal. Thank you very much for joining us, Seamus.
Morning, Greg.
We appreciate you calling in. Unfortunately, though, it's off the back of a fatal road traffic collision in South Donegal yesterday, and you're seeking the public's help as Gardaí investigate this awful incident.
We are indeed, Greg. Yesterday, Tuesday the 10th of January, just after 5 p.m, there was a collision on the Donegal Road leading into Killybegs, actually outside the community centre, so it was actually well inside the town environs. It involved a silver Ford van and a pedestrian. Now, as a result of this collision, I'm afraid to say a lady has lost her life as a result of this collision. A well-known local lady who's recently retired. Now, we're making an appeal at this stage for any witnesses, and I'd also like to acknowledge the fact that a good number of witnesses have already made themselves known to Gardaí, and also for any drivers who may have been in the vicinity that have a dash cam footage, that they could make that available to us. And as I said, I've just reiterate the fact, I'd just like to thank the local people or people who have come forward already with being helpful.
Yes, of course, because it's part of an investigation, but families seek answers and all that type of stuff. So that's why there's always this appeal for just as much information as is possible, I presume.
Absolutely. It's just a trawl for information so we can find out exactly what happened. And everybody deserves that. As I said, there is a Garda investigation ongoing, which is par for the course in such a case. The road's closed. It'll remain closed, I'd say, until at least the early afternoon. There's forensic collision investigators at the scene and PSV inspectors, etc. And as I say, hopefully early to mid-afternoon, we get the road opened again. All right.
And I mean, our sympathies to this is awful news for, as you mentioned, a popular local lady, her family and friends. This is the type of awful loss that's felt right across the community, of course.
It is, of course. It brings it home. Any fatality is a fatality too much, but especially in a small rural town like Killybegs, where everybody's known, I think it's particularly poignant, and at this time of year too, leading into the new year, for such an occurrence to take place.
Okay, so any information, that's the dash cams, of course, which are often automatically recording, presumably, in the lead up to the incident as well. So people don't have to look through that themselves and determine. Let the Gardaí take that. They will take the video off the device for you. You don't have to download it and package it or anything, or any CCTV outside houses or anything like that there. You can contact the Killybegs Garda station on 074 9731 002 or the Garda confidential line 1800 666 111 or any Garda station. Seamus?
Yes, Greg, that's the phone numbers. And again, I'd just like to thank you for giving us this platform today to appeal for witnesses, and also just to make the general comment again for all road users to slow down and respect other road users. And it's a message that I take every opportunity I get, I reiterate it, because it's just so important. As I say, slow down, respect other road users.
Yeah, and whether we're pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, tractor drivers, lorry drivers, this is a shared space. We all have to use this space equally.
Absolutely. Regardless of whether you're in a vehicle or you're a pedestrian or you're out jogging or running along the road, we just all have to be so careful.
Okay, thank you. I hope that you get all the information that you need for that investigation and for whoever might need it. Inspector Seamus McGonigal, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Seamus McGonigal there, who is head of the Donegal Traffic Corps. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp or text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right, okay. Now, I mentioned just at the start of the programme that some of you out there who listen to the show choose to do so on your smart speaker. I haven't had a radio with an aerial outside of my car for God knows how long. Everything's done via laptop or tablet, or primarily the smart speakers. But some people using the Alexa speaker, that's the Amazon speaker, are being asked to subscribe. Now, this is not me thinking, I'm worth $4.99 a month or anything. Nothing of the sort.
I'd love to get $4.99 a month off everybody, Greg.
4 cent. If we get 4 cent, I think I'd be very, very lucky.
Very frustrating.
It is, because last year we were having to give people a workaround. What's going on with the way Amazon operate their Alexa?
Well, it's basically to do with Northern Ireland and the UK. Greg, last couple of years there's been an ongoing court battle with various companies in relation to music and different things, and part of this is to do with an app called TuneIn, which is would be regarded as the standard app for streaming across the world.
So effectively is that if we're streaming, or any radio station streaming in Ireland music, right, do we have the right for people to listen to that music in Britain? Now, it's very hit and miss. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't care, and they have to.
A lot of the Irish stations were shut down off TuneIn. So they were over the last couple of years. We got a workaround with the Irish radio player where you could enable it. But now Amazon has come on board with whatever is going on with these court battles, and now they're looking to charge money. So if you are in Northern Ireland or if you're in the UK and you were to say, Amazon will now, when you say Alexa Highland Radio, it will now look for €4 or £4 a month,
and it works in both directions. People who maybe chose to listen to the Premiership on 5 Live on the smart speaker, sometimes you'll be able to listen to a football match, and other times it'll play a loop saying that this content is not available outside.
Basically what it is, really, it's nothing to do with us. It's to do with the UK authorities, the UK governing body, who are stricter over their streaming and their music than what they are as their Irish counterparts. So there is a workaround. It is frustrating. There is a workaround for it. So basically, we have a company in the UK and we have an Alexa skill, and it's Alexa, open Highland Radio. If you say, Alexa, play Highland Radio, after you do that,
$4.99 a month.
It's free of charge in the UK and in Northern Ireland. Now, there's some people now in Donegal will be going, well, that's happening to me as well. And there's a reason for this, because you're using a UK supplier for your broadband for the house. So there is, of course, the usual big names, but there is some providers across the Northwest who are sending broadband into Donegal, and it's coming out of Northern Ireland.
A lot of it deflector stuff, really, perhaps.
That's what it is. Like a relation of mine. Stuff. A relation of mine in the middle of Termon in the hills couldn't get Highland on TuneIn because they were using a service provider.
And the IP eventually ends up being from Derry, but really it's not from Derry.
Yeah,
okay,
that's the reason for it. I spoke to a lovely lady last week from Quigley's Point, and she was having the problem, and I gave her the skill of Open Highland Radio, Alexa Open Highland Radio, and away it went.
So you've got your Alexa speaker, and heretofore it's asking you for $4.99. You say, Alexa, Open Highland Radio.
Open Highland Radio.
That's it?
Yeah. And if you were to say after that, Alexa, play Highland Radio, away it goes. I spoke to the guys in London who developed this skill for us, just to be 100% sure last week that our skill for the UK and for Northern Ireland is working. And it was working 100% in his office.
We're triggering speakers in people's houses now.
Yeah.
Okay, Google. Play Highland Radio.
I'm just going to touch on Google.
I just want, when people are listening, I want their speakers to start speaking to them at home.
Don't be saying okay, Google, because my phone starts.
Alexa.
Google, yeah, there it goes. See? Google in the Republic of Ireland works fine. Your Google Nest works 100%. But the problem in the UK is based on the same with your Google, but there's no fix around for Google. We can't get anybody to develop a particular skill. It's called a skill with Alexa. Don't know what it's called with Google, but there's no company that develops a skill particularly for Google. So if you're actually listening to us in Derry, Tyrone, Fermanagh, or even in London or Manchester, Newcastle, Glasgow, wherever, and you're in the UK, you can't get Highland on a Google Nest or on a Google device. So you can. For the same reason, back to what we spoke about at the start.
If it were me, I'd have a VPN on my router, but
I mean, you can manage that. There's some people.
Okay.
There's
right, so we've sorted Alexa. It's been an ongoing problem for the Nest.
It's just the way it is. Frustrating. It's annoying. We get regular calls from people who think that it is because it's Highland Radio.
Yeah, because we're looking for money.
And what I would advise people as well, because I've done it in the house myself, where you go, Alexa, play Highland. you have to say Highland Radio, because then it comes up and it will ask for give you a Highland playlist of Spotify or a Highland playlist of we've got one on Amazon Music but we want to charge you. You have to say, Alexa, play Highland Radio, or Alexa, open Highland Radio.
Sometimes, we feel like we're moving forward, yet we're going backwards. I'm paying €10 a month for Amazon Alexa. Now, they might be getting the Amazon Music.
The Amazon Music, they're probably the Amazon Music and that as well.
I doubt they have. I would say what they're doing is they don't have Spotify, but Amazon have the same catalog as Spotify. So, that's about what you pay for.
Yeah, that's some, but it's very, very easy to get an Amazon Music subscription, because all you have to do when they offer it to you through your Alexa is say yes, and you're sucked in straight away.
So,
yeah, it's very, very difficult to cancel it.
Yeah.
Because I had it, and to cancel it, you actually have to go in through your Amazon account online. You cannot cancel it via your Alexa.
Do you have your young ones now speaking to the speaker?
I have a 3-year-old.
That's what I'm saying, speaking to the speaker.
Alexa comes down in the morning, and Alexa wants Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star or something like that.
I think you can find yourself subscribed to a few things in the not too distant future. All right, okay. It's good fun, though, I suppose. Okay, so that's it. So just to recap, if you are using the Alexa speaker, you say open Highland Radio or play Highland Radio.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, until such time as TuneIn sort out their court cases, because at the end of the day,
we don't have to worry about TuneIn from a Highland point of view now in the UK, because them skills work.
Yeah, but I'm on about with Google. You see, with the Google
thing. Yeah.
Because we want artists to get paid if the music is being used, but that's up to them to sort out the contracts with TuneIn, the industry. Okay, so Alexia, open Highland Radio. That is the command there for people living in Britain or Northern Ireland, or in Donegal, whereby your broadband provider is based outside of the Republic. That's it, is it? Any other news?
Fingers crossed, no other news.
When's the next McKenna Cup game?
Tonight. Yeah.
What did you think of the performance against Down?
I enjoyed the first half. Second half was very disjointed. That's what you're going to get when both teams decide to bring on 10 subs apiece. You're going to get that anyway. But listen, the McKenna Cup, it's not really about winning matches. It's not about getting to the final of the competition. It's about seeing what the young players are like and what sort of talent's there. And there's a few players now that are going to be marked down the line now, because you can see they've something in them.
That's good.
So they have for that level. So,
all right, yo. Thanks very much for that, Osh.
Okay, great.
All right, take care of yourself, indeed. So that's just answers a few questions we've been having coming in. Oshie, one more thing.
Live commentary tonight from just after the throwing time of 7:30.
Where is the game?
Balbuffet.
That's all right.
Yeah,
okay,
McCool Park in Balbuffet. So
and
if
it's
you're
on
not
air or is online exclusive?
It's on air.
Brilliant.
It's on air from just after half. Game starts at 7:30. It'll be just after that before we start.
And who's on comms with you?
Mr. Martin McHugh.
Excellent stuff. All right. Right, we'll be back with our next guest shortly.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
I hear you some wiring needs a fixing, ma'am. The name's Buzz, on account of my work.
No chance.
Not all cowboys ride horses. All safe electric registered electrical contractors must give you a certificate of completion that shows their work meets approved standards. Find one nearby on safeelectric.ie.
The Aer Lingus January sale is now on. With over 4 million seats on sale, we've got your 2023 travel sorted. From just €179 each way, as part of a return trip, you can fly to New York, LA, and everywhere in between. Take that magical holiday to Orlando, plan that action-packed week away in Chicago, or explore the sights of San Francisco. Visit aerlingus.com and grab your seats today. T's and C's apply. Travel 1st of February to 31st of May, 2023.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark-approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
There's no place like a Foy & Company home. Our big January sale is now on. We're also giving away €100 Foy's vouchers every day for 12 days in January. For a chance to win, visit our social media for details. Foy's Big January sale is now on at foys.ie and in-store in Letterkenny and Ballbuffet. There's huge discounts off all interior paints, wallpaper, ready-made and custom-made curtains, also off cushions, rugs, household and gifts, lighting, kitchenware and much more.
Are you a Leaving Cert student that is looking at your options for 2023?
Or are you interested in upskilling and progressing in your career with a postgraduate degree or Springboard funded course?
Come along to A2 Donegal's open evening on Wednesday, 18th of January from 4 to 7 p.m. in our Letterkenny campus.
Talk to us about our part-time, flexible postgraduate programmes and find out all you need to know about eligibility and funding available through Springboard.
And learn more about our 20 brand new CAO programmes that will be available this year.
A2 Donegal's open evening, Wednesday, 18th of January from 4 to 7 p.m.
See you there.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Liam O'Dwyer, Secretary General of the Irish Red Cross. Liam, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. Greg, can I say to you that I have retired as Secretary General and I'm now operating as an advisor to the Red Cross. We've a new Secretary General has taken over here last week, Deirdre Garvey, which we're delighted with. So I was only in the position on a temporary basis. So there's my personal background for you.
No problem. I appreciate it. It's good to have that clear. Right. We just wanted to get an update with you because obviously the Irish public and the public across the world was so generous following the awful tragedy in Creasla, and the Irish Red Cross took over the management of that fund. So in total, following the awful tragedy in October, how much was donated under sort of the umbrella of the Red Cross?
Well, the answer is 1.75 million is what the figure is at the moment. Obviously, there are donations have gone to other organisations and to other funds as well, but the Red Cross Fund stands at 1.75 million. We've set up an oversight committee then to look at the expenditure of those monies. And we've had 2 meetings at this stage with the community in Creasla, over just before Christmas. And also the community have had its own facilitated meeting to discuss how those funds might be used and the types of needs it might be used to address. So that's the progress so far. And to date, roughly 470,000 euro has been distributed to the families of the bereaved and those injured and those at a loss in that awful tragedy.
Obviously, I think a lot of us who donated to this fund would have done so maybe that people could take periods of time off work or to engage with counselling. With the amount of people affected, those that are affected directly by the loss of a loved one, then those that might have been injured, but also first people that were first on the scene, people that worked the scene, and not just from Creasla. You would know it's people from far and wide outside of Creasla, and especially considering we've just come through Christmas, 470,000 euro to me does not sound enough.
I suppose what we've done is we have met with people individually, and I think that's the most important thing that we do. We sit down with people and they tell us what their immediate needs are, and that's what we have been doing. And I'm sure I've little doubt that the fund will be, we're talking roughly about 1.5 to 2 years to expend this type of a fund. But all the meetings are happening individually to date, and the money people have asked for certain amounts, and we've been able to give those amounts. And then the next move will be that we will be meeting specifically with the families of the bereaved and those who are injured on a group basis, first of all, and then on the basis of that, we will be going back to the community closer to the end of the month to have a further discussion regarding the matter.
Yeah, but no one's going to come to you with their hand out. Not many people are. Do you know what I mean? I understand the consultation, consulting with the entire community, although this extends far beyond Creasler and those that are directly affected. At some point, though, does someone not need to make a decision and say, this is the funds, people donated it to help those who are directly affected by this. This is how we are going to apply it. So, say, for instance, split it up, a certain amount for those who were directly affected by bereavement, a certain amount for those who may have been injured, and then maybe a remaining pot for those who require ongoing counselling. You know, the more people you talk to, perhaps it's harder to come to some sort of like, is there any plan for a system like that so that, you know, those who would probably need it now get it now, rather than having to keep returning, saying, well, that money's run out because of this reason and we need it because of that? You know, can you not take it out of their hands to some extent and put in place a plan?
I mean, I think with something like this, Greg, that what's important is consultation and listening to the people who have been affected.
But you can't consult. You can't. Yes, but the Red Cross can't consult with everybody that's been affected by this tragedy. I know personally 3 people who were affected by the immediate aftermath of this that have not engaged with the Red Cross at all because meetings were held in Creasler. They're from outside Creasler. No one's reached out to them. They haven't heard that there is a mechanism whereby they can speak to someone. I've had to pass this information as a person, myself, individual, a private individual, on to these people. Like, are you assured that you have cast this net as wide as is possible to make sure that those that need help, those that responded to it, those that are affected by it, are being offered an opportunity to be compensated for the help that they need?
We have a volunteer who's there on a Sunday. We have a volunteer who's there on a Wednesday evening.
That's in Creasler, though. Sorry, Liam.
Creasler, and we have a member of our staff who's there for 2 days a week in Creasler, and that is widely known. It's known where they are, and obviously we're available, email, etc. Or for phone contact. People would be more than welcome to contact.
Well, let me approach it a different way, Liam. For those who don't come from Creasler, right, that aren't the many people from the surrounding areas that have been affected by this, would it be cheeky of me to suggest that maybe they are invited to contact the Red Cross to see if they qualify for support? Because, as I say, the public donated this money with a view to helping everyone affected by this, not just people from Creasler, but the many people from outside of Creasler that, in fact, in some cases feel a little bit left out in this process, because you're talking about there's people located in Creasler, we're having meetings in Creasler, and it's incredibly important. I'm just conscious of the fact that there are many people bereaved from outside of Creasler as well, that might feel that they're being left out, and I'm sure that's not what the Red Cross want. I'm trying to be constructive here.
Well, anybody who had a bereavement, I can assure you they have been engaged with by the Red Cross. I have absolutely no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. And we also have advice from other people locally in terms of who was affected by this awful tragedy. And Greg, if I'll be absolutely straight, if there are people who feel that they have not been engaged with us, or we have not engaged with them, I would be delighted if they contacted me. And my email is lodwyer@redcross.ie, and we will immediately follow up with them and meet with them. But I can assure you that we're making every effort at this stage through people, our own members in Donegal, and then through our own staff member who is there every week for 2 days and is available to meet anybody both within Creasler or indeed from outside Creasler.
Yeah, of course. And as I say, this is not in any way to have some sort of a hierarchy within it. It's just I'm being contacted by people who were not directly affected by it, but that were there and just feel that they're feeling left out. And I'm sure no one would want that, either those that were directly affected by it or the Red Cross. So at what stage then will you have a plan formulated, do you think, to allocate the bulk of this money to those that might need it, that in some way it might give them some space or whatever it might be required as they continue with their grieving process?
Well, we will be bringing a proposal to the community following discussions with the families of the bereaved and those seriously affected by the tragedy. We'll be sharing that then with the community, getting their feedback, and it's at that stage, which I suspect it will be in early February, that we will have a plan for the expenditure of the remaining monies. But we're ensuring that we talk to people first, and we consult and we listen. And so any of the contacts that you have, I would be delighted to hear from them and to ensure that their needs and their views are put into that mix.
And the public's generosity continued over Christmas, didn't it? People still, obviously, this is very, very recent, and people continued to donate to the fund. They have continued to donate through to the fund, Liam.
Yeah, no, that is right. The last time I was in Creasla, about 2 weeks before Christmas, I think the fund stood at that stage at 1.5 million, whereas now it has moved right up to 1.75 million. So that means that quite significant sums of money have come in over the Christmas period, which is very welcome.
Okay. And this, obviously the public incredibly generous as it relates to this awful tragedy, but they were also invited to donate to the Red Cross following the outbreak of the war in Ukraine. Incredible generosity there as well.
Oh, it's just extraordinary. I mean, the Irish public, the generosity in terms of the monies given, like 42 million in relation to Ukraine, and this 1.75 for Creasla. It's quite extraordinary, really. By when you look at Ireland and you look at the types of donations that are made, not just to the Red Cross, but to other organisations as well, per head of population, Ireland is way out there. There's a real affinity with Irish people for people who are suffering. And we've seen it obviously in Creasla, but we've seen it with the people from Ukraine, not just with financially, but with offers of accommodation, offers of support around the country, and the manner in which communities have actually put their arms around people, particularly at the moment from Ukraine, and indeed from other international protection people. It is hugely uplifting, to be honest.
Okay. And the money that raised for Ukraine, is that sent to Ukraine to help people in Ukraine, or is it distributed to Ukrainians now living in Ireland, or how does that work, Liam?
It's both, actually. So far, out of the 42 million, just over 20 million has been moved already into Ukraine. We would move that into the Red Cross on the ground in Ukraine and in Poland and Hungary, etc., on the borders. So wherever any of the refugees are moving out of Ukraine into some of the border countries, the Red Cross is there, the national organisations are there, and then the international organisation of the Red Cross, they're on the ground providing medical facilities and food and indeed cash. So we would move all of the funds across to them to support that work. And then in Ireland, we would have spent just over €1 million supporting the refugees coming here with vouchers and other supports just to help them get over some immediate needs, because they would be arriving with very little.
Okay, brilliant stuff, Liam. And in terms of the work that's being done. And finally, Liam, just to remind people who may have been affected by the Creasla tragedy, who maybe haven't engaged with the Red Cross. Yes, I know within the immediate area, you've outlined quite clearly every effort that's being done there. But for those from perhaps outside the area who haven't been able to attend those meetings or weren't aware they were happening, but might feel that they were affected by it and might need some assistance from you, and of course that's up to the Red Cross to determine. How do people get in contact?
Well, I think email is obviously the easiest. So it's info@redcross.ie or directly to me. I have no issue with that, and that's LODwyer@redcross.ie. Either of those two ways, or indeed to pick up the phone and to ring the Red Cross here centrally at our head office, and to ask to speak to somebody regarding the Creasla Fund, and we'd be delighted to talk with them.
All right, Liam, thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it, and good luck in your new role within the Irish Red Cross.
Great.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Thanks so much, Liam. 086 60 25,000. A mixed reviews coming through. I hope the impression wasn't... I hope no one got the impression that I was trying to question the work of the Red Cross. I just want to make sure that everybody who would be able to benefit from that fund is included. Some commenting that I was unfair and wondering who the producer is. It's Caroline. If you want to speak to her, you can. But another, hi Greg, I'm from Creasla. Thank you for asking proper questions that everyone here is wondering. I'm not trying to create any controversy, by the way. I hope people understand that over the course of the last few months, many people, 15, probably 20 people have contacted me either off air or, on my social media or whatever, or have come up to me in public with certain questions, and I have to try and make sure that they feel that their questions are answered as well. I'm not suggesting for a second there's anything controversial. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is done as that people feel, because in answer to their questions, that they feel that everything is being done that can be done for everybody affected by it. As I say, it's all relative to each individual.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas, with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
Winter sale at Brian McCormick Sports now on. In-store and online. Discounts of up to 30% off. Asics, New Balance, Brooks and Hoka footwear. GT2000, Gel Cumulus, New Balance 880, Hoka Clifton 8, to name just a few. Treat your feet in our winter sale. Grab a discount and stretch those legs. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Green Shoes Big Winter Sale is now on with massive reductions. Up to 50% off across your favourite brands, including Echo, Tommy Bow, Kate Appleby, Una Healy and many more. Make big savings on big name footwear. Shop LK and one for all gift cards accepted. Green Shoes at Market Square, Letterkenny Shopping Centre and in Fulcara. Or shop online at greenshoes.com with up to 50% off in the Big Winter Sale now on.
New me, new Nissan. Life's too short. Spoil yourself. Go on, you're worth it. With Nissans available for immediate delivery, don't let your neighbour outshine you. Call in today to find out why the Nissan range is unbeatable. With low interest rates available, it's an easy decision to start your 2023 on a good note. Visit imotors.ie or visit us in Malin or Letterkenny.
Are you a Leaving Cert student that is looking at your options for 2023?
Or are you interested in upskilling and progressing in your career with a postgraduate degree or Springboard funded course?
Come along to A2 Donegal's open evening on Wednesday, 18th of January from 4 to 7 p.m. in our Letterkenny campus.
Talk to us about our part-time, flexible postgraduate programs and find out all you need to know about eligibility and funding available through Springboard.
And learn more about our 20 brand new CAO programs that will be available this year.
A2 Donegal's open evening, Wednesday, 18th of January from 4 to 7 p.m.
See you there.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday this summer with the family? Fly to Alicante, Malaga, Faro, Lanzarote, Mallorca and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
All right, as I said at the start of the show, it was a blustery old night out there in certain parts. Well, today, windy and showery with very strong gusts along the coast. Showers will merge into some longer spells of rain. Isolated thunderstorms and hail are likely. Highest temperatures of 5 to 9 degrees, mostly strong and gusty westerly winds. As a family involved in the Creasla tragedy, we haven't been invited to any meetings in Creasla, says a caller there. What is the situation for all of those people who've lost their businesses through this tragedy? I would presume as well that fund is That's why you contact the Red Cross. Good morning, Greg. Can you explain, or can he explain, if the Red Cross take any percentage of the money funded for administration costs, and if yes, how much? I know for a fact that they don't in this particular in the control of this fund. Good morning. All funeral expenses should be paid for all the people that died in the awful tragedy. Greg, you can't give everyone money. It's not the way it works. Just because you're from the area or surrounding area means nothing. People will be looking for free money. That's not the case at all. It's just to make sure that everyone who is affected by it, that was affected by it, because there are people. I know people have struggled to go back to work. I know people have struggled to get counselling, and they haven't engaged because they weren't from the direct area and they felt that it didn't apply to them. And it's those people that I was trying to encourage that it is for them as well. Okay, it's not to be in any way purposely insensitive. Right. Good morning. I usually listen to Highland Radio via Alexia. I found recently that I have to say, Alexia, play Highland Radio on TuneIn in order for it to work without asking me for a subscription. So Open Highland Radio is the instruction. You shouldn't have to say Open Highland Radio on TuneIn, but if that's what's working for you. Yeah, same here in Killygordon. Alexa not working, asking for a monthly subscription. So could any of you who text in saying, yeah, we have that problem, could you try on your speaker saying Open Highland Radio or Play Highland Radio and see if that's fixed the problem for you? Ask for Highland Radio, tune in and you won't be charged. Okay, so you direct it to that specific app. Okay. Remote and area, Alexa looking for payment to listen to Highland Radio. It's not just Highland Radio, by the way. It just may happen, and we appreciate it that we're the station you ask for. But if you say Open Highland Radio or Play Highland Radio, and some listeners are saying you have to say Open Highland Radio on TuneIn, and then it works. Had that problem this morning. My house wouldn't work, so I had to say, Alexa, enable Highland Radio. She gave me 3 options, and I'm listening now, thankfully. Well, it's very good to have you on board. And many of you messaged in since we had that conversation with Oisín. It was... A few of you were messaging in initially with the problem, but it turns out it seems to have affected far more people. So hopefully we've resolved that for many of you. Very bad potholes in the BOF area. The BOF area on the Corcamone Road, the back road to Welchtown, also leading to narrow bridge known as Barney Logues. This bridge you may be aware of, used by many by passing Strannolar, Ballabafay. The council have filled in these potholes on numerous occasions, and the filling is gone the next day. It's a waste of money, they say. I'm not sure if it's down for programme of works. Let me see, what did I want to read here? There was another one I wanted to read, but I don't have a great deal of time. Greg, can you give a heads up to other people? Twice recently in the last month I've been notified by the NDLS to renew my driver's licence online. My licence isn't due for renewal until 2027. This is a scam. They're looking for your details. As I actually mentioned that one yesterday. It's not from the NDSL. It's someone else pretending to be from them. A few years ago, RTE had a Eurosong competition on the Late Late Show featuring Brian Kennedy and other unknown artists. The viewers voted for the winning song. Part of the attraction was the fact that one viewer who voted for the winning song would win a new Renault car. Throughout the programme, Pat Kenny updated us with which artist was winning the votes, i.e. Brian Kennedy. Viewers then voted for Brian in order to have a chance to win the car. No interest in any particular song set up if ever there was one. And do you know what probably happened there? And sometimes it can happen accidentally. No one thought of it beforehand. I know we often think that, the fix is in. I would say that what happened there is that someone didn't actually think it through properly. Dismember, haven't seen a comment from you for a while. Thank you. You're still watching. UK listener, Alexa, Open Highland Radio, straight in as usual, Greg. Well, listen, thanks very much for that input. Back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Do you need to switch your current account or loan? We are now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features and competitive rate switcher loans.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
Thinking about joining AIB? What if by changing your bank, you could also change the way you bank? At AIB, we don't make technology for you to bank. We make it for you to live, with all your everyday banking needs at your fingertips. Joining AIB takes just a few simple steps. Discover how to become a customer by visiting aib.ie. AIB, we back doing. Allied Irish Banks plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Discover your dream Donegal wedding by choosing Jackson's or Villa Rose Hotel for your wedding day. Exuding elegance, quality, and a wealth of experience in executing the perfect wedding reception, Jackson's or Villa Rose is the venue for you. Come along to Jackson's Hotel and the Villa Rose Hotel on Sunday, January 22nd and view their complete wedding offering as they present their biggest wedding venue showcase of the year. To find out more, visit gallangroup.com.
A public service announcement from Donegal County Council. The County Donegal Heritage Office and the County Donegal Heritage Forum are beginning the process of preparing a new heritage plan for the county. The County Heritage Plan is a 5-year strategic plan for the identification, conservation, management, promotion and interpretation of our built, archaeological, natural and cultural heritage. You can have your say by completing the online questionnaire or by making a written submission by email or post. Further details are available at donegalcoco.ie/heritage. Donegal County Council, serving the people and heritage of Donegal.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
It's 10 o'clock. This is Highland Radio News with Donal Kavanagh. Good morning. A post-mortem examination is to be carried out on the body of a woman who died following a road traffic collision in Killybegs. The pedestrian, who was in her 60s, was struck by a silver Ford van on the Donegal Road close to the community centre in Killybegs. Shortly before 6 o'clock last evening, she was pronounced dead at the scene. Inspector Seamus McGonigal heads up the Garda Roads Policing Unit in Donegal. On today's 9 till noon show, he made this appeal for witnesses.
We're making an appeal at this stage for any witnesses. Good number of witnesses have already made themselves known to Gardaí, and also for any drivers who may have been in the vicinity that have a dash cam footage, that they could make that available to us. The road's closed. It'll remain closed, I'd say, until at least the early afternoon. There's forensic collision investigators at the scene and PSV inspectors, etc. Hopefully early to mid-afternoon we get the road opened again.
The chairperson of the Mica Action Group says the government continues to drag its heels on crucial elements of the campaign for 100% redress. Homeowners affected by defective blocks had sought updates on a promised review of the IS 465 standard and the inclusion of pyrite in the scheme. In response, the department stated those reviews would not be complete until the end of this year. Their homeowners are also awaiting clarification on the issue of foundations and whether or not they will be included in the scheme. Lisa Hone says interim measures are needed, but she says there's no urgency from the department.
It's very disappointing that we've not got some sort of interim measure where the government recognises the science that's being reported in terms of the evidencing of iron sulfides in a lot of the concrete blocks. It really is of paramount importance that we understand this as soon as possible, and to wait a year to come to a conclusion on this is just really, really unacceptable and highly irresponsible, quite honestly.
Cabinet is meeting this morning with the issue of refugee accommodation high on the agenda. It's believed it'll become increasingly more difficult to accommodate refugees in the coming weeks and months, with many government contracts with hotel providers about to expire. With more, here's Aoife Kearns.
At a meeting later today, the Minister for Integration and Children, Roderick O'Gorman, is expected to warn his government colleagues of the pressing issue facing them in the coming months when it comes to finding shelter for refugees. Minister O'Gorman is also expected to press colleagues on the need to reduce reliance on private operators and build its own accommodation. At the moment, many refugees are being accommodated in hotels. However, many of the hotels under contract with the government are expected to revert to tourism from March and April. In total last year, Ireland took in 70,000 people fleeing the war in Ukraine, and it's anticipated Minister O'Gorman will reiterate his view that Ireland has done remarkably well in this regard.
Irish Water says repairs to a burst water main may cause supply disruptions in Crawley, Ranafast, Annagree, Mulladuff, Kerrytown and surrounding areas in West Donegal today. The works are set to take place until 2 o'clock this afternoon. There may also be some traffic disruption as a result of the ongoing works. Bank of Ireland has announced an €11.5 million investment in upgrades to its branches nationwide. The investment will include installation of new internal and external ATMs in Ballybofey and Buncrana. The bank says works will also take place at their other 6 Donegal branches to install more energy efficient lights, and that, they say, should reduce energy consumption by around 50% in its branches. And some minimum wage rates have been described as discriminatory and disrespectful. The Mandate Trade Union wants them scrapped. The union says a 17-year-old in retail gets paid 30% less per hour than a 20-year-old simply because of their age. Assistant Mandate General Secretary Jonathan Hogan says the government must act.
Government do have an opportunity to scrap the sub-minimum rates, do the right thing for young workers who are out there working in the economy. Giving it 100%, trying to put food on the table, trying to pay their college fees, trying to pay rent and rates like everyone else. And they need to be supported now more than ever. We're calling for the government to change this immediately.
Windy and showery today, very strong gusts of winds in coastal areas. In particular, the showers will merge into longer spells of rain as the day goes on. Some isolated thunderstorms and hail are likely across the region. Highest temperatures today 5 to 9 degrees Celsius in mostly strong and gusty westerly winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with headlines again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, the 11th of January. The death has occurred of Mary Ward, Drimladrid, Letchermacha Ward. Her remains will repose at Midlin's funeral home from 3 o'clock until Rosary at 8 o'clock today and tomorrow. Removal from there on Friday morning at 11:15 for 11 o'clock Mass in Dunlow Chapel, followed by burial in the local cemetery. The death has occurred of Mary McKelvey, Carricknamana, Killygordon. Her remains will repose at her late residence from 6 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there on Friday afternoon at 12:30 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon at 1 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on the St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon Facebook page. The death has taken place of Fionnuala Bryson, née Colquhoun, 47 Hampstead Park, Derry, formerly of The Green, Kinnecally, St Johnson. Fionnuala is reposing at her home in Hampstead Park, Derry. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 11:30 for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St Patrick's Church, Pennyburn, followed by interment in St Bathan's Cemetery, St Johnson. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Friends of Altnagovan, Ward 26. The death has taken place of Dana Tighe, 1 Marion Park, Buncrana. Dana's remains will repose at 1 Marion Park from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Removal from there on Friday morning at 10:15, travelling to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial in the adjoining cemetery. House private, please, from 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. and on Friday morning before the funeral. The death has occurred of Barney McGrath, 25 Hillview Park, Castlederg, formerly of Ballymcavany, Pettigo. Barney's remains are reposing at his late home, with removal from there this evening at 6:20, arriving at St Patrick's Church, Castlederg at 6 o'clock to repose overnight. Requiem Mass will be celebrated tomorrow morning at 10, followed by interment in the adjoining churchyard. The house is private, please, to family and close friends. And the death has taken place of Peggy Midlinchy, 19 St Agnes Terrace, Buncrana. Remains reposing at McLaughlin's funeral home, Buncrana, with viewing from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock each afternoon until Friday. Removal from there on Friday afternoon at 4, going to her residence. Funeral from there on Saturday morning to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals,
please go to highlandradio.com.
Inflation pushes up building costs, so it's important to review your home insurance cover to make sure you have the right cover for your needs. Underinsurance happens where there's a difference between the value of your cover and the cost of repairing damage or replacing contents. It's a risk you can avoid. Review your home insurance policy regularly. For more, visit understandinginsurance.ie/underinsurance. Brought to you by Insurance Ireland.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
All right, Alexa working in Ramelton now. If you say Open Highland Radio, great news. Please ask, this is separate of course, please ask when is the next meeting on the Creasla Fund, its location and its time. If that information is passed to me, I'm more than happy to get it out there on air and on social media. Greg, it's the government who wants the refugees, not the people. The people want a cap, yet the people who are supposed to serve us say they aren't having one. Well done on highlighting the Red Cross Fund. I sure hope the Red Cross distribute the money better to Creasla than they did during the flooding. I'm a victim of the flooding, and I can assure you very little money was paid out to the victims. I'm not suggesting in any way at all that there's any question marks over the distribution of the money. It's just to make sure that all of those affected feel that they're included. How much does the Red Cross take out for themselves? At the beginning, I asked that question and it was zero. I presume that hasn't changed. I hope Minister McConnell digs his heels in with Quilcha and does not allow our land be sold off. Well, he's joining me later on in the show. I'll ask him. Bottom line is though, Quilcha do not need his or the government's endorsement in their plan. And what that is effectively is that a UK pension fund is going to invest in the purchase of land. And they will get a dividend from it, of course. There's grants and what have you. And it's to get a return for their pension fund. And it'll be delivered then to the people when they are due to get their pension. And Quilcha are saying, unequivocally, they're saying that the only way they can actually meet their targets for 2050 in terms of the plantation of trees is if they source private money. They can't do it on their own. Greg, if you're crabbed this morning, I must be crabbed also. I wasn't impressed this morning when I heard that on Post we're raising the price of a stamp to $1.35. I wonder, will it help with quarantined guaranteed delivery? I doubt it. I posted Christmas cards locally on the 16th of December in the main depot post box and they still haven't arrived 26 days later. I'm so upset because they were to my grandchildren. I phoned the HQ in Dublin yesterday, got to speak to a human after 39 minutes to be told that he could do absolutely nothing about it because I didn't have a tracking number for them. Not a happy bunny with An Post. Well, we'll be crabbed together, hopefully. It might even be a nicer surprise if they do land. I hope you didn't send cash. Hopefully it's a nicer surprise when they do land a little bit later on. Back to the speakers. Greg, if you tell Alexa to play 103.3, it works, and I do not be asked for a subscription. Good morning, Greg and Oisín. It's a very wet one. Happy New Year to you and yours, to all at Highland Radio. Health and happiness, and hope it's a good one for all. I enjoyed the crack with Oisín. He's an absolute whiz when it comes to modern technology and a real asset to Highland. You'd be lost without him. And also young Kevin Fury. I'm amazed by his talents and skill when it comes to technical matters. Both of them are top of things. Well done. And I know they'll keep up the good work. Thanks, Greg, for all your great work and shows, and to all at Highland for all the top-class shows. There's no show like a Highland show, and it always makes my day. I couldn't imagine life without Highland. Have a good day. Safe home from Mary, Catherine and Andrea in Desert Martin. Well, Andrea, Mary and Catherine, you would swear me, Oisín and Kevin had fed you all that information to say about us. It's very nice of you. We really appreciate it. And it's to... That's why I come into work to try and engage with people and help people, and that's why I do it. I wouldn't mind doing a different type of job. I'm not a slave to radio either, but I do it because I feel like it can make some difference somewhere. I appreciate your feedback there as well. Are you all familiar with ChatGPT? I mentioned this on the programme a wee while ago, and I think this is going to be huge. It's artificial intelligence. This year, in terms of what artificial intelligence can do, is unbelievable. But ChatGPT is it's a free source that anyone can use, and it is just remarkable. It doesn't just cut and paste from the internet. It sources audio and text from all over the world, and you can give it a command to do something. You can give it a command to write a sonnet in the style of Oscar Wilde, or in the style of Eminem, or in the style of Lewis Capaldi, and it will create a new piece of work that many experts are finding to difficult to distinguish what might actually be real work. And what I think is going to be a big conversation in the months and years to come is school submitted work. The likes of essays or poems or stuff that you do at home for homework. This program, ChatGPT, I'm not giving away any secrets here, by the way, because it's your young ones. If you don't know about it, your young ones know about it. It's a bit like that Andrew Tate. If you don't know who he is, your young ones know who he is. And it is remarkable what it can do. I think there's going to be problems in terms of actually songwriting, poetry, book writing, essays. It can produce a 4-page essay for you in 3 or 4 seconds. And I think those in education need to be talking about this right now. We're lining up an expert to talk about it on the programme tomorrow. And what I might do actually overnight is create some examples of what this stuff can do. There's also artificial intelligence now that works with it in terms of image creation and creativity. It is crazy. And this stuff is not actually currently at the moment working on real-time stuff. It's not sourcing real-time data. It's sourcing all its information from billions of words, poems, songs, scripts, whatever it might be. It's sourcing them from an internet archive. When they switch on to what this ChatGPT and others that might follow it can do when it's accessing real world data, it truly is a game changer, because if it can write a love letter for you. I'm sure it can write a poem for you. It can write an essay, as I said, for you. It can write a sonnet for you. It can write limericks for you. It can create quizzes for you. It can do anything for you. And it doesn't just cut and paste it so that you couldn't say, oh, well, the teachers will spot it because of plagiarism. It creates new work. So tune in tomorrow. I'm going to speak to an expert about that and tease that out a bit more. But I can tell you right now, in terms of, it won't happen now, but I guarantee you the Minister for Education will be chatting about ChatGPT before the year's out, even before the next exam start. Mark my words on it. Right, okay. We will be back with a conversation from a former senior member of the Gardaí about a new policing model from An Garda Síochána that's being rolled out. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Stay where you are.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 11th of January. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S8. It's game number 2. The numbers are 67, 14, 66, 1, 32, 33, 45, 62, 65, and finally 81. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com. Are you thinking of changing your car? Then look no further than Inishowen Credit Union for your finance. It's simple. A car loan from Inishowen Credit Union means you borrow the money to pay for your car and the car is yours. No hidden fees or balloon payments. Apply online at www.inishowencu.ie or contact us on 074 9361017. Membership of Inishowen Credit Union is open to anyone who lives or works in the Inishowen Peninsula. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
You may think you know driving, but you don't know Nissan e-Power. An electric motor that brings you the performance and response on the road that you demand, charged by a petrol engine as you drive. The thrill and economy of electric driving without ever having to plug in. And it's exclusive to Nissan. Who said you have to plug in to drive electric? Find the drive you've been looking for with e-Power. Now available in the new Nissan Qashqai, a unique electrifying experience now unplugged. Nissan, innovation that excites.
PDO Thread Lifts, the ultimate non-surgical lift for the skin, improving facial contours, lifting and tightening jowls, the neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Gweedore. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Gweedore, 07495 325 75.
Did you see any lightning around the northwest so far this morning? Because I've had messages about lightning, but also I note, and I'm not saying it's connected, but I wonder, there's a huge outage at the moment. It's only going to be a short-term outage apparently, but 15,000 premises are affected in West Donegal. Ardna Gappery, they're stating that the fault is at, but it's in and around the Derrybeg, Gweedore, Bunbeg, Carrickfinn, that kind of area. 15,000 of you without power. We were talking earlier on about your smart speakers. They're probably switched off at the moment, but I wonder, was that connected to the reports of lightning we were receiving as well? Right, John O'Brien is author and former detective chief superintendent with An Garda Síochána. He joins us on the programme now. John, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it greatly.
Greg, good morning. Good to speak with you.
Right, okay. So what is your initial views on Drew Harris and his vision for Garda policing and his Garda policing model?
Okay, I'm kind of smiling to myself here at the thought of a vision, but really what we're talking about this morning is the policing model that Mr. Harris has been started to roll out in 2019, and it was probably interrupted by the COVID in 2021 and into 22. And there is a meeting of the Joint Policing Committee in Donegal on the 16th, and reading your local media there's been lots of questions asked about the efficacy of this model and why does it work. And that's really what my interest is. I've written long and hard about it, but I've refined my kind of critique, if you like, down to 5 or 6 simple questions.
Well, may I
where I'm coming from.
Let me ask 2 obvious ones then. Under this new policing model, do you think, firstly, that people will feel there is an improved or static Garda presence? And secondly, do you think that over time people will feel that if I call the guards, the call will be answered and they will be there as quickly as possible? Because I think those are the 2 sort of basic expectations people have of the force.
Absolutely, and that is the expectation right across this country of 5 million people from north, south, east and west. So the question is, that you pose, will the guards arrive more quickly to my house than they did previously? Will their guards be more in evidence than they have been heretofore? And we're talking about normal general policing norms here, Greg. We're not talking about, the exotic end of drugs operations or whatever, or we could be. The bottom line is that Mr. Harris has not answered that question because that calls for metrics or numbers, i.e., in Letterkenny this morning, if somebody is looking for assistance in their house or in their shop or in their business, how long would it take a Garda patrol to get there? And unless Mr. Harris can say, look, under this new system, we have refined our responses to people looking for emergency cover in this way, and they will now get to you. He has offered no evidence of the metrics that would improve in relation to this model, i.e. either more guards on your street or a quicker response to your calls for an emergency.
And also too, maybe flip the question around as well. We talk, criminality and crime, we talk about it as if it's, it's not a living being. But criminals are watching this information as much as members of the public are. Another question for you, will criminals feel that they're inhibited in their criminal activity, or will they feel that they, are more or less likely to be caught? Because I think really that's almost as important as my first 2 questions.
Yeah, and in all of my experiences in nearly 40 years in policing and indeed academic research as well, the one critical thing is for all of us in our normal lives, and if we do something that's either criminal or an offence or whatever, there's one singular thought in our mind, Greg, is will we be caught? Are there consequences?
That's it.
And my simple point, though, in all of this is, and the JPC is a great place for it, is Mr. Harris should be able to answer simple questions like that in a specific way. I don't want to hear bland assurances. This is a 21st, policing service for the 21st century, and so on. Give us the numbers. Like, for instance, what are the impacts in terms of cost benefit, in terms of human benefits and the financial terms? And how are you evaluating this in a way, like if this was a business, Greg, if this was a business and I was trying to sell you a share in this business, you say to me, okay, John, come on, tell me what's this going to cost me? How will it operate better? And give me the numbers. And by the way, most critically and importantly, what model is this based on? Where is this nirvana of policing that you suddenly plucked out of the air and you drop right down on the tables right across this?
So the
this
JPC
country?
members should be asking specific questions. I would also like to ask, how can a model for Galway County be equally applied for a county like Donegal, which has obviously a massive land border with Northern Ireland and a massive sea border? Like, is this policing model flexible? Because it would be, I presume it's a completely different requirement for a geographically county locked like we are in Donegal than it might be, say, for instance, for Galway County.
Yeah, that's a terrific point, Greg. I mean, the bottom line is, and I've looked at this and studied it backwards and forwards and based on my own operational experience of command in different Garda divisions, is this, believe it or not, is a one-size-fits-all. And by the way, the Assistant Commissioner's responsibility for Donegal is based in Galway. And that officer, who is an excellent officer, has a span of control all the way from Galway across to Greenore and right up to the top of Inishowen Peninsula. I mean, this thing is absolutely probably the single biggest attack on the general policing structure that I'm aware of in recent times.
See, John, what worries me is, you say, when we talk about models, like, say, for instance, the ambulance model that we employ, that say, let's use Galway City. I don't know why I keep going back to Galway, but they have ambulance in different places and they respond at different times, and that might work in a small urban area, but it seems to me they use pretty much the same model with an ambulance in Dunlow, Carrick-on-Shannon, Donegal Town, South Inishowen, Letterkenny, Dunlow, and they try and employ a similar model over a broad county as they might in a sort of an urban environment. And if we go down the same road with policing, again, it might work very well in an urban environment or a smaller county, but covering the distance you're talking of here, it requires a different approach. That's what worries me.
You know, and the key point in this is, all policing, just like politics, is local. Yeah, that's the key thing. And there's a demographical shape and size to that, i.e., how far do you have to travel? How far does the service you have to go to get to you in your house, in your home, or how far do you have to come to that service? And this model does not have the flexibility on this. It actually has dismantled a system that was far more attuned to the local needs than this one is. And I know that the good Garda officers who have been asked to explain this, many of them do not believe in this system. And I mean, of course, they will be diplomatic in terms of the public discourse. I've been around this country last year as part of another brief talking to current colleagues in the organisation. I haven't found anyone that says, oh my God, we have arrived. This is the way that we want to do it. But the key thing here is service delivery. And the questions for the Commissioner are those kind of ones. And by the way, Mr. Harris, if your Garda numbers are now falling and you can't recruit enough, what are the implications on that front? So there are some very specific questions that he needs to be able to give precise answers to. I've listened very carefully to different presentations that the Commissioner has given, and they are very bland assessments or assertions of what will happen. It is not a system that is tailored to the needs of Donegal as distinct from Galway or Cavan or Cork.
And you talk of the recruitment, and the problem with recruitment too is there's an experience drain, almost a brain drain, because we are seeing left, right and centre senior Gardaí retire. And even if as recruitment slows down, there's an experience deficit in there somewhere that I believe requires a targeted approach. I would like to ask Drew Harris, what's he going to do about that? As you bring new recruits through, as much of a struggle as it is, we're going to get to a point where people are the experience will be gone as these people come through. What are they going? What happens in that situation?
And Yeah, of course. And of course, the more basic question, Greg, is, change is not necessarily the same thing as progress. And why is he right now doing this? I mean, what is the imperative? By the way, right now, the Garda, in terms of the public approval rating, is extremely high. What is it that requires this? Absolutely. But by the way, there's nearly 17,000 people in the Guards. Every single one of those people, and that's between the civilian and the Garda squad, every one of these people are affected or will be affected by this system. What is the need for this absolute drastic change? I mean, please explain to us why this is a better way of doing things.
Now, say, for instance, at the moment, we have a pilot system running in Donegal at the moment. It came in under the radar, whereby if you call your local 24/7 station, say Ballyshannon or Milford, for example, and your call requires a Garda response, that Garda in that station transfers you to a civilian in Galway, and then they deal with your inquiry. Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It's a pilot project. But who judges what is successful or not? Like, would we not, as the public, need to know what the metrics are or what the measurements are of whether or not, I mean, you run it for a bit and then you introduce it, or you run it for a bit and then you reject it? Like, do you think there should be a little bit more transparency about huge changes like that so that we can understand, or it could be asked at the JPC meeting, we understand what the reason behind it is, what the expected result is, and what is the bar for it to be deemed a success?
Well, again, the point in that is very straightforward. Is that if you run a pilot project on anything, the other part of that methodology, Greg, is you also run a controlled sample, which is you don't change anything. So you select two areas, for the sake of and in the one area, let's call it Area B, you introduce a totally new system of operation for a period of time. And you have, side by side with that, a similar demographical division, let's call it a division, box B, and you do nothing in that. And then, in a proper professional evaluating way, you compare the results from A and B, and you then decide on the basis of that, this is the way forward, or it needs to be modified. And this is the key point in this operating model, is there has never been a public explanation of any pilot project because it was conducted in relation to this new system using that well-worded. It is totally like, being blindfolded, standing with your back to the dartboard and throwing your dart and hoping to hit the bullseye. Yeah. It just simply does not make sense.
You see, my concern is that things are viewed on a national level. So let's say, for instance, public transport. You can have Eamon Ryan come on and say we've invested, $2 billion in public transport in the first 6 months of this year. But, 99% of that could be for one new Lewis route in Dublin. But on the face of it, it looks like you're satisfying a need. Similarly, in terms of national statistics, this new model might look very well because it works very well in urban areas where more people live, and rural parts could be collateral damage. So in other words, we live in Donegal, and on the face of it, on a national level, you can make a very strong argument that something is working, but then you drill down into particular areas, the model does not work. It cannot apply in those areas, but because we're small in population terms, just 160,000 in this whole massive county, we really are, as I say, it's almost like a tax for living in those areas. We see it in different areas of spending and policy.
Yeah, and the key thing is there's no reason to believe that it will work in an urban area either.
Right, okay.
That's the bottom line. I mean, the logic of this just simply is not permeable. You cannot put your hands on it and grab your hands around it, because none of the normal business processes that would apply to major chains have been applied in this. I mean, one simple thing would happen in any organization where you're implementing enormous change involving 17,000 people and 5 million customers at the other end. You would have an independent, or at least a scrutiny group, who would look at the progress of, the new system that you're doing, and who would offer advice and who would make a judgment as to whether this is operating or not. I mean, look, you mentioned it already in passing. There's kind of three aspects to general policing in our country. One is the urban. The second one is the rural, with some mix of urban rural, and the third one is border. Mm-hmm. And like your county and Donegal embodies that classic one. It's rural with some urban mix, and it is bordered to an extraordinary degree. Now, what works in that territory doesn't necessarily work in another one, because your own county has its own individual dynamics, its own individual problems. By the way, can I just say something before we finish this morning? Is that terrible tragedy in Creeslaw, a few months back. There was an iconic image that I saw of that, and it was of a young guard and a woman back to camera, and the guard has got his hand around the shoulder of the woman, comforting her because obviously she's upset, and she has her arm around the guard. Now, look, that might sound very airy-fairy to some people, but for me and for all of my career, and many of my hundreds and my thousands of colleagues, that's the relationship that we've had with the general public, where it's our job, our responsibility to take care of them, and they have to trust us in that. And when you do something like this, you better have a very good reason for doing it, and you ought to be prepared to answer the key metric questions that go to whether the system works or not.
All right, very finally, separately, but maybe not, do you think Gardaí are allowed to retire too early once the years are up, that they should be, that we don't, that retirement age or the term should change so that we don't lose so much experience?
Yeah, in short, we should not lose valuable experience. And, of course, that has to be balanced against the need to have young, fresh, talent in the organisation. I mean, a classic example would be, say, somebody who holds a command rank now, and who, for reasons that make sense, want to work on. You retain them in an advisory capacity. You retain them in a supplementary one. You no longer ask them to operate at the high command level or at the medium command level. Yeah, and the same would apply to guards with unique experience and so on. And there are different and imaginative ways of doing that, so you don't lose the experience. I mean, like, I've been talking to retired guards and serving guards around the country, and there is enormous enthusiasm there, and particularly in the retired as well, to continue to serve. During the pandemic, my organisation, the GSRMA, the Garda Retired Association, offered to facilitate and to help in relation to any of the call centres that were being manned. So there's a great reservoir of enthusiasm and experience that's of tremendous value, and I just don't see the logic behind the current system, and the numbers that support it in a business-like way. Mr. Harris should be able to answer half a dozen simple questions, and then people can judge for themselves whether they're going in the right direction or not.
All right, so you want specifics to answers, not just stock answers when Drew Harris meets with the Donegal JPC. That's what you would expect from members, that we don't have generic catch-all answers, that we have explanations to those answers.
Many years ago, I did different programs with Vincent Brown, and Vincent Brown was a famous character, and his famous line always was, and often addressed to the politicians was, you come in here, he says, and you won't answer a straight question. You'll make a speech. So the bottom line on this is very simple. Mr. Harris or whoever is there, and the professional people, and that's why they're paid for, is to respond, will you answer the question? How can you measure this? What's your reason for taking this project in the first place? Be quite specific with your answers. Look at this like a Leaving Cert examination. You won't get your marks for writing a waffle or a very high-sounding and using all the appropriate buzzwords but no detail. Please be specific with your answers.
John O'Brien, fascinating. Thank you so much indeed. I really appreciate your time. Author, commentator and former detective, Chief Superintendent of An Garda Síochána. Have a lovely day.
Greg, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Care is not a women's issue. Care is an everybody issue. We're all going to face care responsibilities from cradle to grave. We need to accept that, and we need to support that by having systems and structures in place for people, rather than relying on the fact that women are going to do it just because.
Learn more about care and gender inequality in Ireland at ihrec.ie. From the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission. We're all human, we're all equal.
New this week in Home Store and More. All floor lamps are all half price. But better hurry, because when all the half price floor lamps are gone, they're gone.
Also, all home gym equipment, all 100% cotton printed duvet sets, all prestige kitchenware, and all feather and down duvets and pillows are all still half price. But when they're gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Own your car from the start. At B&S Credit Union, you can do just that with a flexible and affordable car loan. Our friendly and experienced team will make the loan process easy and will be delighted to help you. Visit bnscu.ie or free phone 1800 290 390. Loans are subject to approval, terms and conditions apply. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Like to eat well all week at amazing Aldi prices? I like the sound of that. Feed the family for under €5 with delicious spaghetti and Irish meatballs. Enjoy Super 6 fresh meat offers and save €1 on 3% fat Irish beef mince. Was $4.79, now $3.79 in store from January 5th. And with Aldi Savers, enjoy our specially selected Irish pasta sauce. Was $1.85, now $1.49 in store from January 2nd. I don't like it, I love it. Aldi, every day amazing.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
Now, Donegal's going to be really well represented at the Irish national final of the Eurovision. Leila Jane, hailing from Letterkenny in Donegal, is taking part and joins us on the programme now. Leila, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you keeping?
I'm very well, very excited and ready.
Yeah, and how long is it since you submitted your song for this competition?
I'm pretty sure I submitted it just before the deadline. So I think that was like October or something. So it's all happened very quickly.
And then when were you told that you were selected?
I think it might have been like early December.
Okay, so it's still a quick turnaround, isn't it? And you're performing as well on the programme at the start of February. And this is just, another part of your career which is growing really, really well for you in terms of, Imelda May, hugely popular on this radio station. She selected you as her recipient of the Imelda May Scholarship at BIMM Institute Dublin. I mean, what a fantastic honour that was. What did that mean for you?
I guess it made me feel like I was on the right path anyway. And it was kind of, before starting a degree like that, you're always kind of a bit anxious, but it gave me a bit of reassurance and just a lot of confidence to just go for it.
And does entering the Eurovision, because ultimately this is what it's about, does this fit in with as you see your sort of career path, or is this a bit of a leap of faith for you, or what's your feelings about it?
I think it's a great opportunity, and I love that it's just about the song and that you can be your own artist and you can be yourself. To be honest, I hadn't thought of entering this until I was actually contacted by an Estonian songwriter who had this song idea, and she found me on the Dublin City Today busking YouTube channel and just wanted me
These musicians have the most random things that happen to get you to some place. So an Estonian songwriter found you on a Dublin busking YouTube channel, effectively, and reached out wishing to collaborate with you with a view to entering Eurovision, or just with a view to working with you?
No, she specifically had something in mind for the Eurovision, yeah. And I was just like, yeah, okay, why not?
All right, okay. So, and what are... Aaron Sibley's also worked on this track. So what is the workload there amongst the three of you in terms of, is it three of you songwriting or composing musical? How does that all work, Leila?
Well, I think it was really the Estonian songwriter Liz Handler who had the initial idea, and I suppose the song is about feminine fearlessness and just sort of going for it. So it was a theme that I could really get behind. And I think that Aaron kind of helped with, maybe structurally and lyrically. And then we also took the song to a Finnish producer who was great. It's just so great to have like someone who's great at all the technical stuff and making the song a reality.
Because of course too, this is not simply just entering, and it's not simply at all entering a national competition to be selected with a view to going on to representing Ireland in the Eurovision. The track is released as well. It stands on its own 2 feet. This is a piece of work that you are putting out there for public consumption as well as, but also outside the Eurovision itself.
Yes, and it's a great challenge for me, and it's kind of like my last release was very sort of indie pop. It was kind of getting more closer and closer towards pop, and now this is like full on dance pop.
So you've just completely sold out at this point. Your indie roots are in the trash can.
Yeah, but
I'm joking.
I think it's fun.
Of course it is, and that's what it has to be fun, doesn't it? Whatever we do in life, we have to enjoy it. So we're going to listen to the track, obviously, once we've concluded the chat. But do you say at some point through the process, is this Eurovision-y? Does that happen now, or do you sort of is the competition at the point now whereby that doesn't really matter as much? You put out your best song, your best performance, and it's a fantastic platform. And if it catches the imagination, well, so be it.
I think that is true. But I heard this song and I definitely thought, this is a song that could be on Eurovision. Totally, it's very catchy, and as well as just being a good song on its own, I really think that I could imagine performing it on Eurovision.
It's funny, there's not too many sort of specifics that you can say that about songs. Eurovision is one way you can say a song, that's very Eurovision-y. The other one is, it sounds like a very like a James Bond theme. There's two that kind of unique sounds. I can't think of many other examples. So, Layla, what musically, artistically, do you hope for your future? Are you primarily a performer? Are you a producer, a songwriter? I mean, obviously, you have a first-class honours music degree, so in terms of educating others, that's there for you as well, I'm sure. So, what do you hope the next, say, horrible question, the next 5 years has in store for you?
I suppose I've been challenging myself in terms of performance a lot, because initially my main reason for getting into all this was because I just love singing, like as simple as that. So, and my last EP, I was able to sort of arrange everything myself, and that's very satisfying. But I just love collaborating with people, and this has really given me the chance to do that. And so I hope in the future, whatever happens, I would still love to work with this team that I've met.
Yeah.
For this Eurovision, I still love to work with them further and perhaps do some more songwriting.
And perhaps in interviews with the musicians, I overuse the word momentum, because I think it's quite an important word, I think, for people at certain stages of the career, because of course you had that fantastic endorsement from Imelda May. Cathal Murray's spoken very fondly of you. You've got this amazing platform coming up shortly, and you've got all this ambition, and you need things to all just click into place so that this momentum actually springboards you to precisely where you want to be with your career. So I presume it's about as many people as possible sharing your art with you.
Yes, definitely. And I feel just so lucky, and there's definitely been a lot of momentum recently. And I had a bike accident in August, and ever since that, I was working as a delivery rider, and ever since then, everything just seemed to fallen into place. Like, it seems like the universe was telling me, no, you have to keep singing. So, yeah.
I can see where you guys now get your songwriting from, because, there's a track in there somewhere. Yeah. You fall off, and I hope you weren't very severely injured. But it's funny how things happen in our life and where we can go from it. Set up the song for us. You give us a brief synopsis of what you feel your song is about. So just explain that a little bit more for us.
Yes, it's mainly about I suppose, feminine courage and freedom, and kind of embracing yourself and your weirdness and just going for it, which I feel is what I'm maybe doing here. And I love the song because I suppose most sort of love songs are all about like, oh, I really need you, and I need this person to make me whole. Whereas this song is just like, no, just give me some space. I'm good on my own. I'm good to face the world alone, and that's what makes me feel most powerful.
In a way, life's going to be imitating art, I think, because this is a song that you're sort of stepping out maybe of your indie comfort zone a little bit. You're going to have to perform it. You're going to be out there on the stage on your own. So really, maybe in a way, your life is following the track of this song. So how do you know how you're going to present your performance on the night, Layla?
Yes, well, I'm working with a choreographer from Canada called Kai, or Michelle. Her name is Michelle, but she goes by stage name of Kai. And it's been great. She was also in the music video for this song. So you can kind of get a bit of a sneak peek at what might happen, in the main performance.
Super.
Yeah. So
okay, well, I wish you nothing but success. We have 40% of the acts in the show are going to be based or from Donegal, which is quite impressive when you think about it. And then Johnny Rotten's in there. So it's going to be an eclectic mix, I think, on the night in question. And we wish you, as I say, every success. And I hope if people prefer your song, that they do make the effort to vote for it as well. Because sometimes we can prefer something and sit in our hands, but you need people to get behind you.
Yes, definitely. So please, if you like the song anyway, even if you're not even into Eurovision, just make the effort and tune in and vote for me.
Lovely. And in terms of the song itself, it's available now. You've released it. You've obviously mentioned there's a video there. So I presume YouTube, Layla Jane, you'll find it there, yeah?
Yes, you will. Layla Jane Wild, and it's out on all streaming platforms and YouTube, yeah.
All right, okay. I think you're going to do really well. Thanks, Layla. I appreciate your time today. Have a lovely day and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Take care. Okay, let's hear her track.
Lasted
right, there you have Leila Jane Wild there. It's a great song. Now, whether or not it wins the final competition or it wins Eurovision, I don't think I think it's a good song anyway. It's a good track, that. It should be playlisted everywhere, I think, because it's an Irish artist, and we need to do more to support them, and I think it's brilliant. But whether or not it wins the competition or can do very well in Eurovision, it's hard to say, because it's very... Someone mentioned too about how... here. This is a comment. Last 5 Irish Eurovision entrants: Buck Scully, 23, Leslie Roy, 33, Sarah McTiernan, 23, Ryan O'Shaughnessy, 26, Brenda Murray, 21. Not exactly the same old stagers. I was on about who selects the artists. That's it. It's not the performers. It was about who's selected, because it's very easy to go, well, who do you line up in a panel? You go to, you have some random, not random, that sounds disrespectful, I don't mean like that. You have someone off a pop station, and then you have Johnny Logan, or you have Linda Martin, or whatever it might be, and just think of doing things a little bit differently. People resist change because if it's not broke, or it doesn't appear broke, don't fix it. I think a lot of people sort of employ that mantra. Right, Damien McCarthy is of the Garda Representative Association. He joins us on the programme now. Damien, you're very welcome to the programme. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
1,826 official complaints were made to the Garda Ombudsman in 2022. What's your view? Sorry, actually, in total, 1,826 official complaints were made to the Garda Ombudsman in 2022. That's fewer than the previous year. Are you surprised by that? Either the scale of the figure for 2022 or the fact that it's down on 2021?
No, I'm not surprised by the figure. What I am, what I'd like to comment on is the amount of investigations that have not been upheld in terms of guards being involved in any type of corrupt or improper practice. And I think the figures speak for themselves, because not alone last year and the year before, the vast majority of complaints that have been made to the Garda Síochána Ombudsman Commission have not been upheld. And I'm just concerned in relation to the amount of complaints that have been discontinued that contained criminal allegations of wrongdoing. I think the Garda colleagues I represent are losing confidence and faith in the Ombudsman, in their ability to prosecute people who make false and malicious complaints against Garda members.
Okay, but I would say the majority aren't false or malicious. I would say the majority of people perhaps aren't happy with the rules that the Gardaí are being asked to enforce.
Everybody has an entitlement to make a complaint to the independent body that's responsible for receiving allegations of wrongdoing against guards. Every guard I represent and talk to and work to has no difficulty with independent oversight. What we have a difficulty with is when people make false allegations. I've had experience of dealing with these type of investigations since 2007. I will give you a wide range of examples where people have made false complaints against guards I represent.
And we also know that these complaints can...
Sexual assault, theft, common assault, and we have produced evidence that contradicts what a complainant has said. There's a specific section in the legislation that is supposed to protect members of the Garda Síochána from people who provide false and misleading information to the Garda Ombudsman. And unfortunately, we have lost confidence and trust in anybody to invoke that piece of legislation.
And unfortunately, these allegations false allegations can hang over people's heads for a long time and can have tragic consequences as well. We know that.
It can indeed. And I have dealt with guards who have had very difficult experience over 1 year, 2 years, and even up to 3 years, where they have been waiting to be exonerated from serious allegations of wrongdoing. And a number of questions have to be asked. What is being done about this? What is the policing authority doing about it? Is anybody examining why a large number of complaints are being discontinued? And when guards ask questions as to why hasn't anyone been held accountable, there seems to be a deafening silence in relation to that. It's damaged the credibility of GSOC, and it's damaged our confidence in a body that's supposed to be impartial.
All right, Damien McCarthy of the Garda Representative Association, thanks for your time this morning.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
The TUI Live Happy sale is here. with savings of up to €250 per booking. Free child places, even in the school summer holidays. Plus low booking deposits from €50 per person. With holidays to suit all budgets. Relax and get booking. TUI, live happy. Offer T's and C's apply.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €2.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
There's no better time to switch to 48. Get all data, calls and texts for $12.99 a month. And there's no contract, so you're not tied down. Plus, we're powered by 3. Switch and save at 48.ie. Monthly membership, fair usage policy of 200 gigabytes, 5,000 calls and texts, and terms and conditions apply. One-time activation fee of $12.99. See 48.ie.
Hello, Hill 16 Insurance. How can I help you? Up the dubs.
Hi. I am looking for a home insurance quote.
Righto, and what part of Dublin do you live in?
I don't actually live in Dublin.
Right. Do you lease a part of dubs?
What? I'm just looking for home insurance.
Well, you're going to have to keep looking, pal, because Hill 16 is Dublin only.
Get the feeling that your insurer doesn't want you? At Local Insurance, we understand your needs. Call today for a bespoke quote or find us online at localinsurance.ie. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Clonlee Social Services present Patsy Kavanagh and Shinny Crampsey in concert in the Social Centre, Lifford, Monday 16th of January at 8 p.m. Admission €10. Tickets are limited. Call 087 915 3248 to book.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Salah, Ninnis, the Beatles. You can now fly to Liverpool 8 times a week with Ryanair this summer. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, windy and showery with very strong gusty winds along the coast this morning. Showers will merge into some longer spells of rain. Isolated thunderstorms and hail are likely. Highest temperatures of 5 or 9 degrees.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
News update time. Good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A post-mortem examination is being carried out on the body of a woman who died following a road traffic collision in Killybegs. The pedestrian, a local woman in her 60s, was struck by a silver van on Donegal Road in Killybegs, close to the community centre, shortly before 6 o'clock last evening. The road will remain closed until this afternoon as a Garda forensic examination continues. Gardaí are urging any witnesses to come forward. They're also anxious to see any dash cam footage that may have captured what was happening in the area around about that time. As Cabinet discusses the ongoing health crisis, there were 528 patients awaiting beds in Irish hospitals this morning. According to figures just released by the Irish Nurses and Midwives Organisation, 33 of them in Letterkenny, 11 on emergency department trolleys, 22 in Sligo, 16 of them in the ED. Meanwhile, Cabinet also discussing the accommodation of refugees, with many government contracts with hotel providers set to expire. It's believed the coming weeks and months will see it become increasingly more difficult to find accommodation for those who are coming in. Power sharing meetings are getting underway in Belfast this morning between the Stormont parties and UK government ministers. However, Sinn Féin is accusing the British government of bad faith after its party leader Mary Lou MacDonald was excluded from the discussions. Business leaders also taking part in those talks today. The chairperson of the Mica Action Group says the government continues to drag its heels on crucial elements of the campaign for 100% redress. Homeowners affected by defective blocks had sought updates on a promised review of the IS 465 standard and the inclusion of pyrrhotite in the scheme. They also sought an update on the situation with regards to foundations. However, the department stated those reviews wouldn't be complete until the end of the year. MAG Chair Lisa Hone says interim measures are needed. She says those delays are unacceptable. And there are the headlines. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
All right, Donald, thank you very much indeed. Wellness Wednesday is on the way. We're going to be joined by a Dr. Mary O'Kane, I beg your pardon. And we're going to be talking about awakening a sense of adventure in children. Stay where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Every year, about 2,800 people in Ireland get bowel cancer. Bowel screening helps to reduce your risk of developing it. If you're aged 60 to 69, you can register today for a free bowel screen test kit. Once you've done the test at home, return it by free post and we'll test your sample for levels of blood. If you need any more tests, we'll let you know. Register today at hse.ie/bowel screen or free phone 1800 45 45 55 from the HSE.
At Ulster Bank, our team is continuing to close current and deposit accounts, along with some of our branches. At this time, if your notice period and your deadline has passed, your account is now queued for closure. All personal and business account deadlines are fast approaching. You must take urgent action. If you are still relying on your bank account and in need of more support, please contact us immediately. Visit ulsterbank.ie, your local branch, or call 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Visit Sensory Complex for a perfect family day out. Kids will love exploring sensory play. We have lots of tasty options available at Backstage Bar and Grill. And at Century Cinemas, we're showing kids' movies, comedies, action and adventures, dramas and more. Get in touch on 074 9121 or visit sensorycinemas.ie for more information.
Fabric World's biggest ever winter sale is now on. There's over 5,000 metres of curtain and upholstery now half price or less. All craft and dress fabrics reduced and lining from £1. Why not insulate your home with half price fleece interlining or avail of our fabulous Euro rates at Fabric World Maydown, Derry.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
Okay, Wellness Wednesday features Dr. Mary O'Kane, lecturer in psychology and early childhood education, teaching with Open University. Good morning to you, Mary. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Lovely to be with you today.
Indeed. Now, we are talking about reawakening a sense of adventure in children. So before we get into that, what's the opposite of it? Now, where is a child at pre-reawakening?
Oh, Greg, that is such a good question. Do you know, I think we're all a little bit in that place at the moment after the last few years and after everything we've been through between COVID and lockdowns. Do you know, I was just thinking earlier today, a child who is 8 has probably had a quarter of their life living through a pandemic. And I don't mean to say that that's disaster. But in all honesty, Greg, they've been through a lot of stress. They've been through times when we as their parents have been stressed. They've been told between not hugging granny and having your mask on and staying in your pod in school. They've lived through a tough few years. And I think 2023 is a good year just for family connection.
And again, you know, things that were really tough for young people and tough as parents to try and make them do, A, wearing a mask and trying to explain that and articulate it, B, consistently of washing of hands, and you know, that can create issues with children where they obsess over it, and if you obsess over that, then you can obsess on switching the light off and on 10 times, and you know, there's loads of different things. And also too, them having to contend with the fact that granny and granddad's not going to be there forever. Stuff that really, you know, as you try and articulate this to young people, they are not emotionally prepared for, I don't think, or at least maybe they, even if they are, perhaps they shouldn't have to contend with those emotions.
Oh, they shouldn't have had to. And funny, Greg, it's not only the little ones either. The teenagers, like when you think, I think sometimes for the little ones, you know, their primary attachments are with their family. They're in the homes. Even during lockdown, I felt, well, you know what? They're in that little cocoon. They're in that safe space. They're with their secure attachments. But for the older ones, they should have developmentally been flying the nest, been getting out there into the world. So I think at every age group, it's kind of been stifling. Do you know what I'm finding as well, Greg? Because I would deal with a lot of parents, and they're telling me that children who potentially were not particularly anxious pre-COVID now are struggling with all sorts of anxieties. And funny,
because we are as well too, you see.
Oh yeah,
we are. And
absolutely.
How do we protect our children from what we suffer from ourselves?
Yeah. Well, funny, to kind of bring it back to adventure, one of the things that we now know with children who are anxious that we can really do that helps as parents is gently, and I am using the word gently, push them out of their comfort zone. So even say in play or in things they might be taking on, so they take on something new, they take on something different, and they're a little bit nervous, tummy is feeling a little bit butterflies, feeling a little bit shaky, not sure about this, not sure if I can deal with this, but they do something fun in the safe space of their family, and they realize that was scary. That's what scary feels like. But hey, I'm brave.
Well, we have to do we not allow our children, let's focus on maybe 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds then. We have to do we not allow them to explore within boundaries. Say, for instance, there's 4 stairs, wide stairs with carpet on. They're not causing a nuisance. Don't go near the stairs, you'll hurt yourself. Get down the stairs, don't go near the stairs. They climb onto the couch and walk along the couch holding it. Get down off the couch, because if you fall, you could break your neck on the floor, right? Now, I'm not saying that never happens, but if that's the message you're constantly being given, where do you then develop the sense of adventure or pushing yourself as you get up through the years?
And do you think it's looking back at ourselves? Because as you say, we sometimes do it. And do you know what? COVID has made us more anxious. And
it's given us excuses, Mary. Has it? Yeah, but because more and more of us now are helicopter parents. We don't allow anything that we used to do and enjoy and that made us grow to who we are. We don't allow our children to do it. And I think sometimes COVID has reinforced that in us. We need to break out of that.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. And it's funny because, again, you think even how we behaved when we were young, get out and play on the road and off you go. And now it's like, they're out of my sight for a second. Looking at ourselves sometimes, do you know something, Greg? If we want our kids to find their inner brave, we need to find ours. And, you know, when we're rushed in life, so you drop your kids to school, they're in school for the day, they come home, homework, don't get me started on that one. Then maybe they're doing their extracurricular stuff. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing extracurricular stuff. It can be wonderful. But sometimes we overschedule their lives. And as you say, we helicopter around them. So holidays, midterm, our new bank holiday that we're getting in February, times like this are times to just step back, let go of that stress and pressure. When that little bit of pressure of the overscheduling is removed, during those sort of more holiday type periods, it's a good time for us to relax.
And we're going to talk about how we do that. But what we need to do is many people will have used because of with COVID, to that security of cotton wool, bubble wrapping, everybody's safe, everyone's under their own roof, nothing can happen to everyone, everything's okay. You know, and because we are conditioned to fear now, if people want to make a point, they want to control us, and this is not talking about that, but it's about fear. You know what I mean? The reason why there's no Calpol on the shelves anymore is because people are afraid that if their child gets a throat infection, that it's going to be strep A.
Yeah.
You know, and
often unnecessary fear. Do you know, it's about evaluating risk, Greg? And I think we've become quite poor at evaluating risk, where maybe our parents were better at saying, oh, no, they'll be fine, they'll be grand. We've become so fearful. I often think we're nearly like the Madeleine McCann generation of parents, where things happened in our lives, so perhaps in my mother's life or her mother's life, they hadn't been exposed to maybe things in the news. They weren't aware of things happening in other places in the world. So my generation became what I sometimes call the play date generation. We became so fearful. But our perception of risk, Greg, is sometimes really, really skewed. You know what? Maybe it's not only our children who need to have that sense of adventure awakened in them.
No,
Maybe
I think it does.
Need to look at ourselves.
No, 100%. I think we do, because we're finding ourselves being safe. You know what I mean? And there's an awful lot about this country, even in terms of housing. In other words, we see, and this is, we see the security of anchoring ourselves to a property for 35 years as success. In other countries, they would see that as an inhibitor. Do you know what I mean? And that's one crazy off-field example. But I think sometimes it all kind of feeds in. So we need to grow. We need to find the sense of adventure, do it through our children and benefit those. So, and also too, I want to say, and I think you'll join with me in this, Dr. Mary O'Kane, this is not a criticism of how people choose their lives or that you should be doing this rather than what you're doing. This is speaking to people who this conversation so far has resonated with them and they wish to change. It's not to say what some parents are doing is wrong. It's just to say that if this talks to you, now let's talk about how we can all try and get that sense of adventure back. I used to climb trees, get to the top of the tree, and we used to swing backwards and forwards to see how far we could move in the top of the tree. The idea of any of my children getting onto the bottom branch, I probably would say, get down off that tree or you'll fall and break your neck.
Yeah. Oh, Greg, me too. I mean, I'm sitting here and I know that this is not a healthy thing. Greg, you think about the levels of anxiety rising in our children, and I think there's a real link between increases in anxiety and our helicopter parenting, our fear of free play.
Because the consequences of everything is so negative. The consequences of everything is so negative. How, Garda Grania comes on with us regularly, and she says, and it wasn't in a serious way, she says, stop telling young children if they're bad, the Gardaí will come, or they'll call the Gardaís. Because what happens is when they start hitting the mid-teens and the late teens, somewhere in the back of their head, they see this, say the Gardaí is this some sort of a... Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like a slight example of what we're talking about, but it makes perfect sense.
But they do feed from FOSS, Greg, and it's funny, because can I just say here, we think about your helicopter parenting, as you say, and I know people talk about lawnmower, like helicopter, the hovering over, and the lawnmower, you're ploughing ahead of them. Helicopter with lawn, or both. I mean, I am that woman.
I'm mowing the lawn with my helicopter. Yeah. So beat that one. Right then.
So many of us relate to it. We have to find our inner brave. Do you know something, Greg? If we try to protect our children from every risk in the world, we can't. We can't do that. And if we're constantly running ahead of them, trying to protect them, we're not showing them that they're strong, they're capable, they are resilient. Yeah. Our children are more resilient than we realize. But if we overprotect them, they don't actually realize that themselves. They have to learn it, and learn it in a safe way, safe risk-taking. Yeah, that's what we always recommend.
And you're clearly, Dr. O'Kane, you're the one with the numbers and letters and stuff. But look, let's look at the most basic. Anyone who suffers from anxiety as an adult will know that there's a few traits to it, but one of them very significant for a lot of people is this fear that something bad is about to happen. This feel that they're going to die. Someone close to them is going to die. I can't remember the phraseology. It's apocalyptic or not something, this doomsday sense that's about to that they can't get from under it. It's like this cloud that walks around with you everywhere, that any moment you think something is going to go wrong or you're going to get bad news, or if the phone rings or the door knocks, it's the guards telling you something bad's happened. And people live their life. That happens to people in real life, and I'm not minimizing that. But people walk around living their life like that. And we are planting that so early in our young people that anything that they do potentially has awful consequences. That is what, for a lot of people, anxiety is, Mary.
Yeah, and that's what you say is like you're catastrophizing.
That's exactly the word.
Ruminating. So you're ruminating, you're going over and over and over something, and then catastrophizing. You're seeing the worst case scenario. And as you say, I mean, certainly for adults who are really struggling in that way, I would recommend that they seek support.
Oh, no, 100%.
If I'm thinking about children, I completely agree with you. When we parent in a fearful way, we are more likely to be, without ever meaning to be encouraging anxiety. Funny, Greg, I'm a mum of 3 as well, so I have 3 children, and one of the statistics I always embedded in my brain is a lady called Mary Cannon. She's a researcher for the Royal College of Surgeons, and she did a piece of research pre-COVID, and she found that by the age of 13, 1 in 3 of our children will have struggled with a mental health difficulty, and that's embedded in my brain because I have 3. One of mine struggles with anxiety, and what I've learned about myself, because I know I should be pushing them outside the comfort zone. I know this, like I have all the logical information in my head, but what I've realized is, as a parent, it's really tempting to parent your child who struggles with anxiety in a more anxious way.
More protective.
So I'm saying to parents, step back and look at yourself. And I'm really not being judgmental, because when I do it to myself, I still do it, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, and a lot of what I'm talking about, the reason I feel like I could talk about it with some authority is because I see it myself or what have you. Right, okay, so I think we started this conversation talking about reawakening a sense of adventure in children. I think we could let's just do the whole bloody family at this point, right? Because, some of us are somewhat institutionalised, afraid to step out. So then give us some tips for 2023. Do you want to start with maybe the February bank holiday or just talk about general life?
One of the things I've been doing a bit of work for Discover Northern Ireland, looking at adventurous things we can do as a family. Because I just say one thing, because I'm going to encourage families to think, we have the bank holiday. What about midterm? If you never plan anything, if you just say, we'll do something on the bank holiday, very often it doesn't happen. So I'm saying, our lives are so busy anyway. Maybe take a little bit of time and think, you know what? I'm actually going to plan something. I'm actually going to go online and here I am, but Discover Northern Ireland, I would go to have a look, see what you can find. But can I just say one really important thing? There's a piece of research, and they asked adults what were their best memories as kids, and they thought it might be birthdays, or they thought it might be really big presents and things that they've been given, but it wasn't. It was family time. It was those holidays, those breaks. But I have to say one really important thing, it wasn't the really expensive ones. I really don't want to give the impression that I'm giving the message, you should be planning to take your children off to Florida next summer, because financially, an awful lot of people, that's out. So don't think it's expensive. It's the little stuff, guys. It's heading to the beach. It's heading to the park. When they were asking parents about memories and what they remembered as kids, it's all the silly little stuff. Greg, when I was a kid, we used to go to a caravan. I'm sure lots of your listeners were related. You go to the beach and you go to a caravan, and none of my memories are rain, stuck in a caravan with rain. But they're also fun times with my cousins. And like that, just getting out there and playing and whatever. It's not the big stuff. You think, you take them to America on their holidays and they come home and you say, teacher says, what do you remember from your holidays? Oh, we had a hot dog and it was the best ever, Kids love little stuff. They love connection with you. So don't feel, oh my gosh, I have to be providing really expensive activities. You don't. It's the little things. But try and get them out, away from the screens, but connecting with you. Because we're under such pressure in our day-to-day lives, very often we don't have real connection with our kids. And I'd say to every parent, if that's resonating with you, think, you know what, I don't connect to them very much. Try and put that into place on a day-to-day basis every day. But also try and have those days out where you just get out in nature, preferably, but you get out and about and you've a bit of time where you're really connecting as a family. Now, the adventure bit is really good for kids who you might want to encourage to have that bit more self-belief. If you think that they're not aware of how capable they are, maybe they're struggling with anxiety, maybe they're just a little bit sensitive. The adventure stuff really works, Greg, because they go out and they try something that scares them a little bit. And they're thinking, oh my gosh, this is making me anxious. And they learn they can do it. So think about whether it be zip lining, it could be co-steering, anything that's fun and adventurous. Even better if you do it with them.
And I presume the psychology of there as well is that it gives them a different sense of the flight or fight emotion.
Exactly. So they live it, Greg. So they go out and the heart is pounding a little bit. I'm being a little bit shaky. My breathing is starting to get a little bit shallow. So it's all the signs of anxiety. But I'm doing something fun. I challenge myself. I do it. I feel wonderful. And they're learning, you know what? I can face tough things. We can do hard things and we can get through it. And if you're doing it with them, it strengthens that bond. Greg, I'm a wuss. Like, I'm sitting here saying this to you. I am an absolute wuss. I'm really, really scared of heights. And one of the things that I'm planning with my kids is I got them to think about what they would like to do. Now, my kids are teenagers and they know I'm a wuss. And we were up in the Giant's Causeway. My husband's a dairyman, so we're up the north all the time. So we were up in the Giant's Causeway. And you know that Carrick-a-Reed bridge? Well, it was closed because of the wind. Oh my gosh, I was delighted it was closed. My kids, not so much. So that's my one. They're saying to me, no, come on, we're getting you back up. And I know me finding my bit of inner brave, because I will be terrified, also shows them. We all get scared sometimes, but if we're together, when life gets scary, we'll hold hands, we'll get through this together, and we can do it. Yeah. And those messages are so important. And
often too, you talked about competing with screen time, but often too, what we're talking about, it could be a walk in the forest, it could be out fishing, it could be visiting some of the amazing things that we have. it's more engaging and more interesting than the phone or the tablet. Do you know what I mean? If it's done in the right way. I mean, obviously you might have to say put it away, but reluctantly you'll find your teenager or whatever it is enjoying themselves, and then they don't seek the comfort of the digital world because the real world is actually more engaging. You know, because within our four walls, it's a boring place, and the weather's against us. But I mean, when I talk about the weather being against us, a lot of that are little barriers we're putting up on ourselves. The weather really isn't. It's just the wrong clothes, if the truth be told.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you say, sometimes, like your teenager, if you're going to say, come on, get off the screen, we're going out. Oh, you're going to get the side eye. You're going to get the eyes thrown to heaven. You know, do I really want to go with you? So pick something fun. Pick a fun activity that you do together as a family. And I guarantee you, you know what? Our teenagers sometimes have three. They sometimes act as if you are the last person in the world they want to spend time with. But actually, when you're out there doing something fun, it's like they're kids again, and you come back to that. Everything is about connection.
I purposely use misuse phrases and words around the older two boys, and it winds them up. But they haven't, and they won't be listening. They still haven't twigged that I do it completely purposely.
Yeah,
I do it on purpose, and I'll sit in the car and purposely sing lyrics wrong, and I can hear, and it just gets me through the day. It's how I entertain myself. It doesn't have any major impact on them. Just finally, you're working with Tourism Northern Ireland. Yeah. They have seen that maybe in their portfolio of offerings that they can give people ideas, because you know what, everything we've talked of, it sounds good, but then it can be hard to sort of like put that into action. So talk to me briefly about the work that you're doing with Tourism Northern Ireland and the hub you've been working on with them.
Yes, well, they've got sort of like a family fun hub, if you like, so it's to help us planning, and it's on discovernorthernireland.com, and there's lots of stuff there, and it's from the beach stuff. I mean, I learned so much because myself and the kids were looking it up, and stuff like, so say you have an older kid, maybe Game of Thrones stuff. If you have younger stuff, the Mourne Mountains. Do you know, Greg, the Mourne Mountains were the inspiration for C.S. Lewis for Narnia? I never knew that.
I didn't know C.S. Lewis written Narnia, but they...
Well, there you go.
Well, so I'm learning. I am learning all the time.
And it can be stuff like Titanic. It can be stuff like The Giant's Causeway. Like
young people have a real interest in history. They really actually do, history and architecture. And I think it starts with dinosaurs. You know, a lot of younger people have real interest in dinosaurs. And you know what I mean? It seems to be something natural there. And I suppose the sort of the attractions that you talk of. And also... I mean, obviously not everyone can travel into Northern Ireland to visit the places that you talk of, but the model that's there, the ideas there, can be reapplied to Fanet Lighthouse or to Murder Hole Beach or wherever it might be.
In the car. Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you, my mother and father-in-law are up in Gweedore. Oh my gosh, that beach. Every time I'm up there, I'm thinking, I want to live here. I want to live here. Like, you have so much stuff on your doorstep there. And as I keep saying, it doesn't have to be expensive stuff. I hate when parents feel I have to provide the expensive stuff. No, you don't. Just have a look at what's near you. Yeah. Pop them in the car or pop them on the bus and off you go. Okay. And I promise you, it will make such a difference.
And pool with other families as well, as, you know what I mean? Some, you know, you can pool with neighbours and, you know, or friends if you've got one or two kids each, you know. See if you can hop in the car together and share the expenses or whatever, because obviously it's a lot of what we're talking about, people might feel that they don't have the resources to do so, but we have to try and think of ways. Right, okay, Dr. Mary O'Kane, it's been lovely chatting to you. Thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Take care of yourself and best wishes to you and all of your family. That's Dr. Mary O'Kane, lecturer in psychology and early childhood education, teaching with the Open University. What do you think?
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
We're all looking into this new year with one eye on the cost of living. Where can we save a bit on the costs without cutting back on the living part? Well, here's something major. Buy your car insurance online with Liberty right now, and we'll give you up to 3 months free. That's the cover you want and the savings you need. That's Liberty Insurance. Future-proof. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Liberty Seguros Company de Seguros Area Seguros SA. Trading as Liberty Insurance is authorised by the General Directorate of Insurance and Pensions Funds in Spain and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules. Up to 3 months free is equivalent to a 25% online discount. Applies to new private car policies only. Subject to a minimum premium and applied before optional covers.
I think he enjoys the visits and calls. At the start, he was a bit quiet, but I soon got him going. And so now we talk about all sorts, and he knows I'll help him out with a bit of advice when he needs it. I often say to him, isn't it lucky you started volunteering with a loan? Otherwise you never would have met me.
It feels amazing to make someone feel amazing. Volunteer with a loan. Find out more at alone.ie/volunteer.
We're sorry to inform you of yet another delay. No, not the train this time, it's John. He's delayed getting his eyes tested. If he's accidentally sat in your lap, knocked over your suitcase or kissed you instead of his wife, we can only apologise. John has now been informed that eye tests and glasses from the €69 range at Specsavers are free with PRSI or medical card, so there's no need to delay booking an appointment. Find out more at specsavers.ie. John, can you get off my lap?
Things don't have to be this way. Introducing
Radio.
Take control. No more searching or complaining, because listen, it's wherever you are. Experts have said to expect
60
stations across the country.
Yeah, and it's even got the pod thingies.
Podcasts.
Oh yes, it's got everything.
Discover a radio experience that speaks to you with the Radio Player app. Download today.
Living in Derry is absolutely fantastic. Everyone's so friendly, they're the salt of the earth, and there's a great atmosphere. I've always wanted to be a paramedic. I decided to apply to Ulster University because this is a pioneering course in Northern Ireland. It's laid the foundations for a successful and rewarding career as a paramedic. Studying at the Mica campus is absolutely fantastic. It's a compact but vibrant campus right in the heart of the city centre. It's where old meets new and where culture meets character. I'm Ben and I'm a first-year student paramedic studying at Ulster University.
The Guardian University Guide 2023 named Ulster #1 university in Northern Ireland. Ulster University, delivering sustainable futures.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the programme, and we're joined on it now by Minister Charlie McConalogue. He is, of course, the Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine. Good morning, Minister.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks for taking the time out to discuss with us today. A couple of very important issues. Maybe I might just start with a quick word with you as it relates to this controversy over quilter and, private pension firms, British pension firms, investment firms coming in, buying land, and the concern from farmers that this is going to drive up the prices of the land. I mean, you don't really have a say in this, do you?
Well, I will be meeting Culture next week to discuss this and discuss what their proposals and to tease and examine it further. But listen, certainly I have an objective in relation to empowering farm families to actually do more afforestation and to make it very worthwhile from an income point of view for that to happen. So just in November past, I launched the new forestry programme along with Minister of State Pippa Hackett, which is commencing now from this month and will run for the next 5 years. And under that, there's very significantly enhanced premiums. So premiums, for example, for farmers are up 60% on what they'd have been before. And a significant change that I made in that as well was that I increased the number of years that farmers will be able to draw premiums from what would have been 15 years before to 20 years. And for anybody who's not a farmer, they are confined to 15 years of premium. So that's a significant change to tilt the balance in favour of farmers. Now, in the past, Culture would have done significant afforestation over many decades across the country. They haven't been doing any afforestation in the last number of years because there was a change in state aid rules a few years ago, which after which prevented them from being able to draw any premiums for any forestry that plant, which made it unviable. So I know they have been looking at what types of what they could do to start doing some afforestation themselves again, other than just manage the forests that they currently have and replant them. So I think it's in that vein that they're considering that proposal. But listen, it's something they've considered. It's not something that I have been involved with them on. But I am meeting them next week to discuss the matter. About it? Well, my main objective my key objective in forestry, as with everything else, is to work to support farm families in being able to do it, and that's and improve farm family
because a lot of those
income.
farm families, when there was 1.5 billion was announced, that they maybe thought that it was welcomed at the time. I don't think they were expecting much of this money to be going to British pension companies, investment companies, and at the same time driving up the price of land.
And listen, it is focused on farm families, and that will be the case. What Kilches seem to be considering here is a very small proportion of forestry compared to what would be ongoing. So the vast majority of the forestation... It can't be that
small, Minister, with respect. It can't be that small, because they believe that this is essential to meet 2050 targets. So it's certainly not insignificant. Do you not think that maybe Quilcha could look at alternative routes, or are you happy with them to work in partnership with these investment companies from Britain?
I think what they're considering would be a small proportion of the overall forestation. It's farmers that we're targeting and encouraging in relation to providing the income to consider doing afforestation. Kilcha, for the last number of years, have been simply managing the forests that they have. They haven't been expanding them. So listen, I'll be meeting them to discuss and tease it out further. But listen, and also, what I'd also be discussing with them is how they can work directly with farmers as well to support them and their efforts. So listen, there's a very significant investment here, €1.3 billion directed to actually support farm families, very much tilted in their favour as well, to make it much more financially beneficial for them than for anybody who's not a farmer to actually be in this space. That's the way I think it should be. Listen, but I'll meet Kilcha now in relation to teasing out and examining further exactly what their proposal is here.
All right. Now, you've also established a working group which will consider all relevant legislative and enforcement issues in relation to dogs. I mean, we know about chipping and this, that and the other, but it does seem to be an area where there's very little enforcement, very little control. It does seem to be something that really needs addressing. Is that what you're hoping to do with this working group? And what do you hope to actually achieve through it?
Yeah, what we're hoping to do is to strengthen the whole situation, the enforcement of the laws that are there, but also particularly as well to look to see if there's additional steps we can take which can strengthen the whole system around ensuring the proper oversight of dogs, and particularly the protection of people from dangerous dogs in particular. There's a role across different government departments, so my own, and then also Minister Heather Humphreys in the Department of Rural Affairs, and also then the enforcement of the rules and regulations is done through local authorities, which are under the Department of Housing. Each local authority has a dog warden or a dog warden service, which is responsible and oversees dog enforcement or enforcement of regulations in each county.
How do you think they're doing so far? I mean, there was one. I know it's not really. This is not the sharp edge of it, but like, say for instance, people feel dogs are running freely on beaches without control, littering everywhere. Intimidating people, attacking other small dogs. There is a sense that there is actually zero current enforcement. So whatever is there at the moment, clearly, you couldn't give it a grade A.
No, I think we have to improve it, certainly, and provide additional support to ensure enforcement happens. And part of that is not just going to be an enforcement piece, but also how we can actually improve awareness around people having responsibility for their own dogs as well. And that's going to be an important piece. So a lot has happened, over the last 10 years as such in relation to law and regulation around the welfare of dogs. We've significant laws in place now for the last short number of years, and improved laws in relation to the breeding establishments, for example. Also now the requirement to microchip dogs, which hadn't been there in the past, and also the dogs enforcement legislation as well.
Yeah, but
we need to look at how we can bring that.
A lot of that protects dogs, but we're on about maybe protecting farmers' livestock. We're on about protecting people's ability to use our beaches and forests. We're on about the ability for people to walk through their local town without stepping in dog crap. I think what's happened heretofore has maybe been focused more on animal welfare than the other animals' welfare and the human welfare.
Yeah, no, I think it's all interconnected, because before we hadn't the same traceability around dog ownership, and I think all of that is connected in relation to people taking responsibility for the ownership of dogs, but then also to how they behave and how they're managed. So, and as I say, over the last 5, 6, 7 years, there were significant steps taken. Every year now, there's more and more traceability. There's more and more dogs getting microchipped. But we have to pull that together more. We have to pull that together more at government level too, in relation to the departments that have oversight of it, and look at it really from scratch in relation to how we can do it better. And also working then with the local authorities, how we can resource them to enforce it, but also working with the public to ensure, that in terms of social acceptability, it is not accepted socially if people don't look after their dogs properly, in terms of whenever they're out in public, and in terms of how they engage with other people, and also in terms of how they, the safety of livestock as well, and making sure that the dogs are not running uncontrolled.
Okay.
So all of the parts have
how
to
do you
come
see it
together,
working
and
then, Minister? How do you actually see it working in reality? I mean, we don't want to preempt the work of the working group. But
listen, I have different ideas.
Yeah.
I have different ideas myself, which I'll be bringing to the table. But listen, I've pulled together all of the key people from the different departments to put a working group together now to report shortly to myself and Minister Humphreys on this, to decide how to do it. So I won't preempt it. There's people who've been doing it a lot longer than I have, who, and I want to feed into it, and we'll be bringing those ideas to the table. But I think it's clear we need to strengthen the situation. We need more coordination, and we need better resources, and the outcome needs to encompass that. And listen, it has been very much to the fore the last number of months. The young boy in Wexford was horrifying and terrible. It's good to see him back out of hospital, but life changing. And also in relation to issues with significant livestock kills in recent times as well. So it is something we need to clamp down on and bring a lot more oversight of and enforcement of.
And just very, very finally, back to the forestry lands. I'll let you go because I know you're busy as always. With the forestry land, do the investors own the land, or do the people of Ireland own the land? Like, does the pension fund end up owning the land, or is it just the trees, as far as you know?
I'm meeting Kilche next week to discuss. It's something that Kilche are discussing to enable them to do some afforestation again, and to be able to purchase land to actually plant trees on it. And it's Kilche that are want to do that because they have been inhibited from doing any new plantation. They manage the forests we have very well. They replant them once they're harvested, but they haven't, unlike in the past, they haven't been able to do any new afforestation. Anything that's done here has to be balanced and proportionate. But listen, I'm meeting them. But as I say, the whole thrust and the whole objective of the forestry programme, and, for example, the new premiums I've introduced deliver €1,137 per hectare per year to a farmer now planting native trees. And also there's an initial plantation grant which covers the planting of the tree, and then there's €1,137 a year every year for 20 years to that farmer for that hectare, and that's also tax free. So over 20 years, for example, a farmer who plants a hectare of native trees would draw tax-free income of around €24,000 over a 20-year period for planting his land. And so it's very, very significant step change, which I expect to see farmers really consider. And I know across Donegal there's farmers who could do a hectare or a small bit on their farm with their existing enterprise and indeed incorporate it. So I think it's going to bring about a significant step.
I think this Quilter deal would be more. I think this Quilter deal would be more palatable. Maybe lease this land to the investment firm. Do they get the return from the investment that would satisfy their paymasters, and then have some sort of mechanism whereby this is returned then to the state or for sale to local farmers? I don't know. There has to be ways to satisfy.
I'll be discussing all that with them, Greg, when we meet them next week.
All right, take care of yourself, Minister Charlie McConalogue. He's the Minister for Agriculture, Food and the Marine.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
The choices we make determine where we're going. Where will your choices take you? Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles, and join the thousands of Irish drivers who swap diesel for Toyota Hybrid Electric, lowering their emissions and fuel costs. We've Ireland's widest hybrid electric range, including the Toyota CHR and Yaris Cross. Don't miss out. Order today at Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in the community. Keeping up to date with your recommended vaccines will make sure you have the best possible protection from serious illness. And everyone aged 18 to 49 can now get a second COVID-19 booster vaccine from a HSC vaccination centre or a participating GP or pharmacy. See what vaccines are recommended for you on hsc.ie or call our team in HSC Live on 1800 700 700 from the HSC.
Donegal Denture Clinic, Letterkenny. Denture problems? We can help. At Donegal Denture Clinic, we customise, personalise and tailor your dentures to suit you. Call us for a free consultation on 91 25 25 3. Find us at Ballyrain, Letterkenny, beside Rossin College. Medical cards welcome. For all your denture needs, call Donegal Denture Clinic on 91 25 25 3. Online at donegaldentureclinic.ie.
Fantastic offers this January at Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms. Free boiling water tap with all kitchens booked. 10% off selected wardrobe ranges and much more. Book your free design appointment in our Donegal Town showroom today by calling Cherrymore on 074 97 25 822.
Keep out the cold this winter and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
This January, staying in is the new going out. At Kelly Centre Mountaintop, we've mega deals in fresh, healthy, ready meals range with great deals in our award-winning off-licence and winning offers in fresh meat and produce. Kelly Centre Mountaintop, 2022 winner of the National Forecourt Retailer of the Year.
Business Matters in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed, execed at atu.ie today.
All right, it is Wednesday, which means Kieran O'Donnell joins us, giving us some of the big business news stories from the week so far, and also previewing the Business Matters podcast available for you right now on our website. Right, let's start, Kieran. Let's start with actually saying good morning.
Good morning, Greg. How are you
keeping?
I'm very good, and yourself?
Excellent. I'm doing fine, thank you. Right, let's get some news here. Certain areas Donegal's bucking the trend. I think to some extent this may end up being one of them. The average price of a house.
Yeah, it was scarce last week, if I recall rightly. Yeah, the average price of a 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Donegal is expected to rise by 3% over the next 12 months, and that is according to a survey by Real Estate Alliance. A 3-bed semi-detached home in the county costs €155,000. That's an increase of 14% on the December 2021 average of €127,500. So the actual selling price of a 3-bed semi-detached house across the country rose to €291,667. That represents an annual increase of 8%. So you're looking at half the price.
Yeah. So, but what we're seeing, what we are seeing too, though, is that whenever we talk about house prices in Donegal, it's always off a low base. So, you know, you might see a 12% increase in house prices, but it's like €112,000 instead of €100,000. I mean, I wonder, though, like, are there, and maybe some listeners out there can let us know, I mean, are listeners out there securing semi-detached 3-beds for 145 grand or 155 grand? It
does sound relatively cheap still.
It does. I just wonder, are those houses actually available and on the market, particularly given the low availability of houses?
Yeah, and given the fact that it's half the price of the national cost.
I don't know. I'd be just interested in the real world, if anyone out there, if houses are actually changing for that amount of money. But listen, at the end of the day, those are the statistics, and that they have access to sort of sales records to determine that. Right, an open evening taking place at ATU in Letterkenny in Donegal.
Yeah, an open evening for those who are unemployed or employed but looking to change careers will take place at ATU Donegal's Letterkenny campus on Wednesday next. That is January 18th between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. The event will provide information about the funded and part-funded Springboard courses that will be rolled out later in the year, along with information on many other courses and degree programmes.
All right, Aldi have a Grow With Them campaign.
Yeah, Donegal producers are invited to attend an information session about the Grow With Aldi campaign being held by Donegal Local Enterprise Office on Tuesday morning next. That's January the 17th between 11 a.m. and 12 noon. The Grow With Aldi is a The Grow with Aldi is a small and medium-sized supplier development programme that gives small suppliers a chance to provide quality Irish products to go and sell in Aldi's 150 stores nationwide. So following the launch, Aldi plan to select up to 5 suppliers who will be listed as part of the core range. So it's a good opportunity for local businesses. The free session will be held online, and check out Leo Donegal's social media platforms for more details.
Yeah, we learned yesterday that Aldi and Lidl each have 11% of the grocery market. Dunnes is still above and away the highest, I think, at 23%. Would you be surprised at that? I suppose they're relatively new companies.
I was just going to say that.
To come in and between them to have 22% of the market,
so they're
not insignificant.
They're almost the same if you take in the fact that they are relatively new and you combine their things. But still, if you ask me a one-word answer, yes, I would be surprised that it's not maybe slightly more.
I wonder, am I getting older? Or are the middle aisles... I am getting older.
You are getting older, Greg.
Or are the middle aisles not just quite as exciting as they used to be?
Bit of that as well. Bit of both.
Right. I think it's probably my age. IDA, they are reporting a good year.
Yeah, the number of people employed by Enterprise Ireland-backed companies grew by nearly 20,000 last year, and that's an increase of 5% compared to 2021. In its annual report, the agency, which is in charge of helping Irish businesses and world markets, revealed that 70% of staff at Enterprise Ireland-backed firms now live outside Dublin. So just a side note, employment increased across the agency's 3 core economic sectors: technology and services 8%, industrial and life sciences 5%, and food and sustainability 3%. So a fairly healthy picture being painted by the IDA there.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is. And I think it talks to this sort of dual economy that's running in Ireland at the moment, where we have certain sectors and certain employees and certain businesses doing really well, and then many of us living really in a recession effectively.
Yeah, the other thing was just in relation to the 70% of the staff that work with Enterprise Ireland-backed firms living outside Dublin. I suppose, is that a new phenomenon as well and a new trend?
Well, I think the tide is beginning to turn on blended working or working from home. I think a lot of companies, Amazon are the latest to call staff back into the office. Twitter, of course, already famously have said get back into the office, and other businesses as well. I think, whatever about productivity, I think just in terms of what's lost when human interaction isn't there, I just think it's been tested and it's been routinely tested. I just think in a lot of areas we might see the tide turning in that regard, but we shall see. I'm not saying, by the way, that people working outside of Dublin are working remotely. That's just an aside. Right, okay, Financial Management Workshop Series.
Yeah, Donegal ETB's Further Education and Training Service is teaming up with Donegal Women in Business Network in February to deliver 3 financial management workshops with award-winning accountantonline.ie CEO Larissa Feeney. So the first session will be held in person in Letterkenny on Tuesday, that's February the 14th, with the other 2 sessions scheduled for Tuesday the 21st and Tuesday the 20th taking place online. So to book your place, contact Katrina on 087 356 099 or email katrina@donegalwomenandbusiness.com.
All right, we're going to have a look forward to this week's podcast after this quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
It's flu season, and children are twice as likely as adults to catch the flu, which can sometimes cause serious illness. That's why all children aged 2 to 17 can get their free nasal spray flu vaccine. A safe and effective way to protect them, and the rest of your family too. So make an appointment with your GP or pharmacist. Visit hsc.ie/flu for more information. From the HSC.
Years Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
Order. There's a lot to be said for it. Not the restrictive, always play by the book, straight down the line kind of order, but the order you place for a brand new 231 Audi. An order best placed having experienced true progress with a test drive at your Audi dealer, where you will also get advice on the options available to ensure owning your 231 Audi is as straightforward as possible, which is proper order. Visit your nearest Audi dealer, where future is an attitude.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Discover Edinburgh this summer with Ryanair's 3 times weekly service. Stunning architecture, endless winding streets and an awe-inspiring castle. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
So any showers around will merge into some longer spells of rain. Isolated thunderstorms and hail are likely. Temperatures today 5 to 9 degrees and mostly strong and gusty westerly winds. We're still in the company of Kieran O'Donnell, whose guest this week is Finn Valley AC's Patsy McGonigal.
That's correct, Greg. Patsy was to the fore when the club purchased a disused factory in Stranraer in the early 80s for £32,000 sterling. So over the last 40 years, the building has expanded to become a vibrant multi-purpose centre which employs around 50 people, while up to 10 others work at the centre independently. A former lecturer at Letterkenny IT, Patsy was appointed chairman of the LDC in October 2018. He was also manager of the Irish Athletics senior team from 1999 to 2017. During a conversation, Greg, I asked Patsy what was the best lesson he'd learned in his role as team leader at Finn Valley AC.
I think if you bring enthusiasm to anything and you bring energy to anything and you bring belief to something, I think you can achieve a hell of a lot. You know, I think there's a lot of nonsense chatted about so much now. You know, in the area of sport, even. Just I think if you've got this mental positive attitude and you don't see the downside, you be sensible. Obviously, you have to be sensible in your approach. But if you're coming at this and you're not going to get bit. You just ain't going to get bit. You know, you're going to find a way, and people will throw up barriers. But if you have the resilience to find a way around them and hammer on, that's what I learned. And there's no, and I quoted this many a time, but there's no line in the sand says you can't cross that line. You can achieve, but enthusiasm, energy, and so on. The energy was key. Energy was key, and positivity was key, and through all of that, if I was starting now at this stage in my life, I don't think I would be wouldn't impact anything like back then, because I just got up and went at it every single day.
Now, people will have heard Patsy McGonigal interviewed before on many, many issues, and he's a wonderful contributor to Highland Radio, and I've interviewed him on various things. 9 times out of 10 it is athletics and sport, because that's what we associate him with. But in this long form conversation that you have with him, Kieran, it's obviously there's going to get a mention of sport between the two of you. You'll slip it in or he'll slip it in, given your background. But this is a different interview with Patsy McGonigal. I don't think I'm overstating it there.
We talked a small bit of athletics near the end, but as you say, we covered I suppose really it's the story of the Finn Valley AC and the Finn Valley AC Centre. As he said there in the clip we played, over 40 years ago they bought a disused factory for £32,000 sterling, and at that stage that was a lot of money. And even how clubs raised the money, Greg, and it was a lot of going guarantor and 3 or 4 people in the committee, and they changed the way they did things, but everything was done on a sort of phased basis. 2 things. The big thing was for Patsy, he got the buy-in from the community, he got the buy-in from the club.
You see, what's interesting and what I'm interested in here, it's like facility success facilities. It's almost chicken and egg, isn't it? Or maybe they run in parallel, but one can't really maximise its potential without the other.
Yeah, but I suppose you're right, and it goes back to the buy-in from the community. Look, the upshot of it all is there are 50 people that are employed in the centre on a part-time and full-time basis. Some of those are student, some of those are part-time. There are almost 10 others working independently of the centre. and they're showing innovation and a bit of entrepreneurship as well.
But you can never stand still.
Correct.
You always have to be seeing where we're going to be at 24, 25, 26.
Yeah, and I think that the as Patsy acknowledged, the final piece of the jigsaw was the completion and opening of the swimming pool. And I suppose that completed the centre from their own point of view.
Right, okay, the full interview. And as I say, Patsy's always a fascinating listen. This is where you get more the Finn Valley PLC, not literally PLC, but as much as anything. Right, that's the long form interviews available for you right now to listen on demand. Go onto our website, highlandradio.com. In the on demand section, you'll see it there. And also, you can get it on Spotify or iTunes. And it's broadcast, scheduled broadcast on Sunday too, Kieran.
Yeah, after the 6 o'clock news, Greg, on Sunday evening.
And really, this is quite important as well because we throw it in at the end. But if anyone wants to contact you, how do they do so? And this could be some feedback on it, but also if it's someone out there who has a story to tell or a big audience they want to get a message across to in terms of, you know, what they've learned or what they've achieved or whatever it might be. Yep. How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, just drop me an email, please, Greg. businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Right, I think the people of the Northwest have heard enough waffle for me, so I'm going to bid you adieu. I'm going to go, but I will return, I warn you, at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Stay tuned. Michaela Clark is on the way. Thanks to all the team.